Hey, welcome back to Beats Learning. I'm your host, Ben Davenport, and this is the podcast where we chat to the people working behind the scenes in the music industry to understand what they actually do, how they got there, and what it's really like. There are so many different careers in the music industry that people never hear about, and that's exactly what this podcast is here to explore. Real stories, honest advice, and a look at the jobs that keep the industry moving. Today I'm joined by someone who's helped shape the electronic music scene from the inside out. Matt Smallwood is a leader in the electronic music scene, currently heading up music at Club Class Management and overseeing The Cross. He's worked across A&R, label management and artist management, helping spot talent early, grow their records and build platforms to help keep pushing dance music forward. In today's episode, we talk about how A&R has changed over the years, what the electronic music scene looks like right now, what makes a record cut through the noise, and how to build long-term sustainable careers in the music industry. This is Beats Learning. Just before we jump in, if you're liking the podcast, please like, subscribe and share with all your friends or anyone that loves music or just trying to understand what goes on behind the scenes. It does everything to help the channel and keep bringing on amazing guests like today. Well, without further ado, let me introduce Matt Smallwood. So, Mr. Matt Smallwood,
Hello.
as he lives and breathes,
Here
welcome to Beats Learning.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for having me.
Mate, it's a pleasure to have you on.
It's been a while.
It has. Well, funny, we were chatting before we obviously kicked off today, and you were first referenced in this nearly a year ago.
Love that.
By the
I'll take
wonderful
that.
Andy McDougall. I hope you're watching.
Big shout out to Doogie Howser. What a legend of a man he is.
Well, mate, I actually realised you and I have known each other for 10 years now.
Is it really?
been
Yeah, 'cause I know I used to play for
crazy.
you at Giggleham, didn't I, back in the
well,
day?
actually, I've
Oh, you haven't got...
raised this before. Sadly, you're, where are you? Please, sir.
I'm probably in the small text at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Not on
you
it.
You know what? I should have... Mate, I'm not even on it. Mate, it was my event and I wasn't even on it. But I did get the original big man.
Nice.
And I know you were there.
I was there,
in
yes.
spirit, you are
I
on
love
this
that.
poster, mate.
Thank you,
So-
mate. I was there somewhere.
You know what? I really should have checked this because I genuinely was like, I was looking forward to going,
Oh, yes.
there you are, Matt, there you
I'm
are.
like, no. It's all about 90, that one.
Well, today is all about you, Mr.
Lovely.
Smallwood.
Thank
Look,
you.
mate, I know we've got a lot to cover today because you're a veteran in the house game.
I'm old, Ben. I'm saying I'm old.
That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
Experienced.
But, exactly, buddy.
Yeah, I'll
exactly.
take that.
But look, where I do like to start is really to try and get to an understanding of where music started for you, the passion for it. Tell me about sort of kind of where that kicks in for you.
God, I suppose, music generally has always been there since I was a kid, really. Even from my dad bloody blasting out things like Queen and Dire Straits and whatever in the front room when I was like growing up in the 80s and stuff. So music's always been there. But I didn't really get into kind of dance music until I was probably like... actually, do you know what it was? I was 13. Do you remember The Shaman?
Yeah, of course.
Remember when Ebenezer Good came out? And obviously it was like a massive number one
yeah.
record and stuff. It just intrigued me. I didn't obviously know much about the content of the record at the time. I was 13 years old. But I remember I got a £10 voucher from someone for my birthday, a Virgin Megastore voucher. And my dad worked for Royal Mail up in Rathbone Place at the head office. And there's a Virgin Megastore next door. I remember giving him this £10 voucher one night because he was night work, saying, Dad, in the morning before you come home, can you grab me that Shaman album? And it was called Boss Drum. And outside of Ebenezer Good, Forever People and Move Any Mountain, the rest were all like really like acidy, trippy.
Yeah.
I didn't get at all, but I had this Shaman album like on repeat in my bedroom when I was like 13, thinking, oh, this is really cool. So that was kind of that was sort of the litmus paper was kind of lit, I suppose, at that point, and it sort of sparked an interest. But then after that, it was very much down to my brother and his kind of group of friends, really. So they were always sort of 4 or 5 years older than me, a bit of an older crowd. But my brother Adam, his friend Matthew, was a rep in Ibiza in the summer.
Fair.
He did about 6 or 7 years on the spin. And he used to work for a night called Divine, of which Tony DeVee was a resident for at Esparadis. And so he got to know Tony really well. And I remember at the end of every summer, he'd come home and he'd bring all the vinyl, all the records that have been big that year. I remember him bringing back like BBE 7 Days 1 Week, and there was DJ Scott was one year on Positiva, and he'd just bring back all the vinyl because a couple of his mates had decks and stuff. So that kind of sparked my interest in that, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool. And he ended up putting on an event And I think I was 16. I had to get there before the bouncers got there and hide in the toilets so that they wouldn't ask for ID and stuff. So that was that. But yeah, I mean, I started buying records when I was like 15. And I used to listen. Tony DeVee used to have a show on Monday night at 1 a.m. I mean, talk about graveyard shift. So I used to record it. I used to have this little Alba, like kind of like stack system thing.
Yeah. I had one too, right?
Yeah, and it used to kill me because the show was 2 hours long, but I only ever had a TDK-90, so I never knew whether to leave the first half hour or the last half hour.
I love it.
And I used to have to set my alarm to get up to turn the tape over as well. Remember, you used to put like blue tack in the top so you could record on it and stuff.
So every Tuesday, back in my day, every Tuesday night on
Make
Kiss.
it sound like I'm about 90 years old, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like that long ago.
Dude, mate, I did the same, so don't worry. You and I are similar age. This is all good. So, because I remember I used to do the same. Because on Tuesday night there was DJ Luck and MC Neat when garage was really starting to build up.
Like mid 90s, 94, 95.
But it's more, I'd say,
later.
early 2000s, very early maybe late 90s, but similar sort of time. And I remember, like the little bit of sellotape over
the old classic,
and then literally just put waiting. So you knew as soon as it was going to run out, take it out, switch it over, and you lost about 10 seconds of the show.
Exactly.
Great
That.
times.
Yeah, they were the times. But yeah, that was when I started getting into the music thing. My mate Alex had a set of decks, so like all the summer holidays we spent around his house just like playing tunes. He actually made an admission to me. Love you, Alex, if you do end up watching this, by the way. But I remember there was quite a few times I'd go around and he had house parties and stuff, and I just managed to cotton onto it. I kind of just, it's one of them things, some people pick it up quite quick and some you have to graft a bit more. I was just one of the lucky ones that picked it up quite quickly. And there was a few weeks later, we went round there again, and he had no, like, remember on the 1210s, you'd have like the needles, like the heads were like screwed on.
Yep.
And
I've got set in there.
Yeah, and they weren't there. I was like, I lent my mate Tim like my needles for the weekend. I was like, oh, right, okay. He was like, oh, yes, we can't play any tunes this week. I was like, oh, okay. Then like every other time I went around there, he'd have no needles. And I thought at the time, I was like, that's a bit weird, that. And then he admitted to me about 25 years later that he used to hide them in his sock drawer because he hated the fact that I could mix two tunes and he couldn't. I was like, that's kind of sweet, but I'm really sorry that you feel you couldn't say, like, just give it a rest or have a sit down for a bit. So I kind of just picked it up and that's how I kind of got into it, really. And I'd sit on the back of the bus on the way to school and have my little TDK-90 and my Walkman on, and
love it.
That's how I kind of used to make notes during the week of like tunes that I'd heard Tony play, and I'd go to Pure Groove, and that'd be the first stop. It was in Archway, I think, wasn't it? Pure Groove, right at the end of the Northern Line. Yeah, go down there like last Saturday of the month when I had a few quid in the back burner and just spend all day in there buying records. I was just hooks, addicted. Then I bought myself some SoundLab DLP3s. Big up the Belt Drive Massive. That were just like Bambi on ice. As soon as you touched them, it was like Jesus. So it was quite a character building learning on them, because you got on a pair of 1210s. It was just like, this is better. But I had them for like a year and learned to mix on them when I was like 16.
Amazing.
And then mum and dad weren't too happy that I'd kind of gone in the back of DJ Mag and just like ordered some out of some random like Soho DJ gear shop, whatever it was paying it off. And they were like, look, I tell you what, because I was coming into my GCSEs and stuff, and I was always getting a bit distracted at that point. As people do, you're 15, 16, 17, you're starting to go out, you're meeting girls, you're drinking, you're partying, whatever, and you start to kind of grow up and get into different things. And I was quite sporty as a kid. I played football to like a reasonably decent level till I was about 14, 15. And then again, you get to that crossroads of like, I really want to play tomorrow, but so-and-so's having a party. And it's I don't want to be hungover. I probably shouldn't go to the party, but I really want to go to the party. That girl I really fancy is going to be there, and I want to have a few beers. And it's and you end up like, in your brain, you make your own mind up. But so that's kind of, that was the route I sort of went down. And then they said, because it was coming into exam time, you pass your exams and we get you some 1210s.
Amazing.
Only just about past exams, but I got the 1210. So big up mum and dad.
Thanks.
I used to play Hard House back in the day. It was like, we're talking like 140 BPM, proper like through the floorboards. Like mum would sit there watching like Coronation Street and stuff, eating her dinner. I like this one. Turn this one. Never once told me to turn it down, ever.
Well, I was about to ask you, because obviously I've always known you to be a house man, and obviously we'll come onto your career through the likes of Toolroom and where you are now with the Club Class and obviously the Cross. But obviously you mentioned BBE a minute ago, which is for me is a massive trance track.
Yeah.
What was your soundtrack?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, back in the day, it was very much hard house and techno. It was because that's what Tony DeVee was kind of championing, and he was the first kind of DJ to. I mean, he was very big on the gay circuit, and I'll come on to trade in a minute. But he was the first kind of DJ that really bridged the gap between the gay and the straight crowd, because it was very divided at that time.
Absolutely.
We're talking 90. When did I go Sunny Side Up? 96 or 16 when I went Sunny Side Up at SW1, and because of that, because Matthew knew him, he managed to get me in the booth at SW1.
Amazing.
And I remember having to climb up this ladder. It was so ropey. Skull was. It was honestly, I had to climb up this ladder to get in there,
Health and safety
like backwards. It was all rickety, and I was like, and I weighed about 4 stone when I was 16. There was nothing of me. I was tiny. And he was like, "Oh, see if Tony will let you in the booth," and he let me in. And here I was, like, I've been like listening to his radio show and listening to his show. I'd never seen him live because obviously I was 16. I couldn't really go out, and he'd managed to get me in, and and here I was, stood as far as away to him as I am from you, and every tune he played, he turned around, he's like, "Oh, this is a new one from so and so. Have you heard of this label? You want to look that up?" And and I literally just stood there mute for 2 hours, just going, just like, "Oh, Tony DeVee." Wanted to like ask him, exactly, But he was such a nice guy, so down to earth, and I literally in that 2 hours, I learnt so much in that 2 hours, not just about technically how to use the mixer, because it wasn't even this technical back in the day. It was literally like a 2-channel. There was a lot of the time there weren't even EQs. There was just like 2 channels and a crossfader, 2 vinyls and a little monitor with a plug in it. Away you go, crack on. But just watching him and watching how he kind of crafted the set was the first thing that really just blew me away. And it was just when Tall Paul had done the Commisera record, Let Me Show You, that was still bubbling around. And I still remember to this day, he was queuing it up and he said to me, "Oh, have you heard this Commisera record?" And I didn't recognise the name, and I was like, "I don't think so." He was like, "I'll watch this place go fucking mental in a minute." And he was coming in after Skull, and during the breakdown of the last track Skull was playing, I noticed Tony was just like nudging the volume down ever so slightly of the channel that was playing. And I was like, "What's he doing there?" And he'd like, by the time the drop came in, you'd never noticed it because there's no bass, so you don't hear, obviously it's so loud, you don't notice like a couple of dB or whatever. And by the time the tune dropped, it nudged it down to about maybe 7.5, 8. And I was like, "What's he doing there?" Then he was queuing up the next record, and I was thinking, didn't know what was. I mean, I knew how to mix, but I just thought, I've not seen anyone do this before. And obviously, with that style of music, the more aggressive the mixing, the more kind of reaction you got from the crowd, and
especially the drop of that track.
Exactly that. So, and he was queuing up Commisera and mixing into this track that was now on like sort of 7.5, 8 on the other channel. And just before I knew it, he just went bang and threw this tune in. And obviously, because this tune's coming in at 10 and this one's at 7, the place just went bang, bang, bang. And everyone was just like, "Whoa!" Like instantly, the reaction was just like, look, get goosebumps talking about it now. And that was like 25 years ago. And it was just instant. And I was like, "How?" And he just sort of, this little sort of turn around and smirked to say that worked. And he used to drop the volume. It's something that I used to I took into my.
So sorry to jump in.
Are you going to say you saw me?
Mate, when I come down to the Toolroom event down at Sauce Bar, and you were playing the sort of kind of the main room, and I was standing behind the deck, so I was watching you, and I saw you do exactly that. So hearing that story now, I'm just like,
you're like, okay, right. Now I know where he got that from.
To be fair though, not a bad bit of thing to go. I learned that from Tony DeVee.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing, and that I think that was probably the day that and going to trade for the first time, but that come about a year later. But yeah, that Sunny Side Up morning was just like, this is unreal, because then it kind of made sense, the mixing, the tunes, the atmosphere, the environment, the party side of it, and just that kind of, without sounding cheesy, that there was a time when everyone was together and there was no trouble, there was no that kind of unity and that atmosphere, and I was just like, this is like special. This is not like a normal kind of day out, and it was a daytime party as well. So we come out there at like whatever time it was, like 4 PM. People are like walking around with their Sainsbury's carrier bags and stuff, and I'm like, you got no idea what just happened in there. It's like that last 4 hours just changed my life for the rest of my life. And that was it. I was hooked then, and that was it. I was just buying records every week, and so it was very much the hard house techno kind of thing. That's what I got into. More the tradey, sort of cooler, tougher sort of stuff. Loved like all the old Sharp Boys stuff that was kind of housey. It was like the hard end of house, if that makes sense. Like sort of 130 BPM, tribal, big bass lines, big vocals. I'm actually playing before the Sharp Boys tomorrow, which is what I've got. This is why I've got to leave here tonight, because I've got to go and prep for that. I was talking to you about, which is that's the first time I played before them, so that'd be amazing tomorrow. So that was me really for God, when was that? It was 16, 17. So that would have been me for a good 10 years, I guess. And then I kind of had a bit of a break. I was a resident for Trinity at the Channel Club for when I was like 18.
Just taking a step back, obviously, like obviously kind of moving on to you getting into actual DJ now.
Yeah.
How did you, obviously it's a very different game nowadays to what it was then. How would you go about back then finding a gig?
Yellow Pages. No, I'm joking. So techno. No, hello. Yeah, I've just seen your ad in the Yellow Pages.
If anyone doesn't get this, honestly, you're too young. It's that simple.
Google it. How did I get into gigs? So, good question. So I would have been my first proper like regular gig that I got was at the Coliseum in Vauxhall. Do you remember that on 9 Elms Lane on the corner?
Yeah.
And there was a night on the Friday called Liberty, and it was a guy called Martin Lana, who became known as Martin Liberty Lana. See what they did there? And because the Friday was doing it, was very much Ramsey and Fenn, two-step, like proper garage stuff. Packed, like sold it out every Friday night, and it became quite a thing. It's very glam. Everyone would get dressed up. The girls will have dresses on, and the guys are in like loafers and Valentino jeans and shirts, and it's all just like passing the bottles. You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's just like give me don't come near me kind of thing. Very cool. But it was quite cutting edge, and it was the biggest thing in London at the time for that sort of sound. I used to go up there on a Friday night. Got to know Martin a little bit. Garage was never really my thing, but I just wanted to go out and soak it up and meet people and he was doing so well on the Friday night that the owner of the club said, do you want to do Saturdays as well? He said, you'll have to do something different to garage because obviously you can't do it 2 nights on the spin. So he said, yeah, I'll do like hard house night. He said, because it was massive back then. So he started a night on the Saturday called Enjoy. And it was randomly me and John 00 Fleming that were residents.
Wow.
Yeah, and one of us...
Your little... sorry, I'm just name-dropping Tony the Vit. John 00 Fleming. You were brought up with the legends.
I know. Look, one of them had to make it. Just at least one of us made it. Yeah, just leave me behind. But,
you've got your legacy in other ways, brother, don't worry.
So that was quite... But yeah, John was really... But then one of us would do 10 till 12, and the other do 12 till 2, and then we'd swap, rotate each week, alternate. But there was a club down the road, the Channel Club, where Trinity was. And that was like, Channel. Like Trinity was like, it's cool in there. That's where all the big DJs went. And you had Steve Thomas, you had Pete Waldman, you had Tony Price, Darren Pearce, all those guys, Drew from Bagley's, like all them kind of guys that go down there. So what I would do is I remember the first time I played, sorry, a bit of a side story, when I played at Coliseum, the bouncers wouldn't let me in. I was only 17, but I rocked up with this like 70 unit record box I could just about carry that weighed about 3 times more than I did. And the guy was like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, I'm playing tonight. He's like, no, I don't think so, mate. I was like, no, I am. So I'm Matt Smallwood. I said, Martin, He's like, you're not coming in here tonight, mate. And I was like, honestly, I said, is Martin here yet? I said, can you get, I said, I promise your boy's here. So we're going to have to come down and get him. So he come down, let me in. He's like, right, as soon as you finish your set, I want you out of there because you're not old enough to be in there. I was like, I am. I said, next week I'll bring ID. He's like, you fucking better. Of course, I rattled out of there at like 5 in the morning, like, cheers, mate, see you later, see you next week. Bounced into the back of a cab. I was like, oh, see ya. But if I was playing early, I'd come out of there and I would go down to the Channel. But Martin used to get pissed off because he was like, you better not be going down the Channel. And I'd always be like, I've got football in the morning. He'd be like, all right, see you next week. Play, yeah, all right. Sorry, Martin, if you're watching this, by the way, you're probably not. But I used to go into the Channel. Got to know the DJs and stuff in there. It was Trinity on a Saturday night. It was like the go-to in London. It was massive. It's wicked. And it was kind of like at the time was like a straight man's trade, if that makes sense, because it was quite hard to get into trade if you wasn't in the gay circuit. But if you wanted that music, you'd go to Trinity because it would have the same DJs, but it was just easier to get in.
So you said Heaven back then, right? Because obviously Paul Oakenfold was taking it a while.
Heaven, so trade was at Turnmills back in the day. So that's where it kind of moved from. But yeah, Trinity was was kind of the go-to. So I would always have a few mates like Rich and Aaron and Matthew, and we'd all go out together of the weekend and stuff, and we'd all go down to the Channel, go in, And I'd always had my records with me, obviously, because I've come from the Coliseum. I got to know Vince, who was the promoter at the time, and Tony Price, who even now, what a legend he is, I still speak to him now, and that's like 25 plus years of chatting and stuff. And I used to, Tony was the man. I was like, I used to look up to Tony a lot. He was just like a really nice guy, made loads of time for everyone, wicked DJ. We played similar music, and we ended up like going to New Zealand together and being resident. It was amazing. But so I used to turn up and I'd put my record box in the thing, and we'd go and get a drink, we'd just meet all the DJs and stuff. And then one night I remember Vince, a promoter, come through into the main room. It was only like a little booth, bit like that behind the booth, and the decks was quite a basic sort of, for a nightclub at that time, it was quite a basic setup. And Vince come in, he's calling me Spat. He's like, Spat, have you got your tunes with you? I was like, yeah. He's like, right, I need you to jump on. And I was like, what? He's like, Darren Pearce is stuck on the fucking M25. He's coming down from Cream. He's going to be about half hour late. Can you jump on? Because Tony's got to leave. And Tony's taking his headphones out, and I'm like...
he's off. I'm
like,
see you later.
Oh my God. And I'm like that, trying to put the needle on. Like, and I can't remember who... I went on after Tony. I can't remember who... Darren was about 40 minutes late. So I was on for... Played quite a few tunes. But Vince was in the booth, obviously thinking, fucking hell, what have I done here? You better be all right. And by the end of it, he was like, yeah, well done, mate. I'll sort you some money out on the way out and all that. And I was like, yeah, no. And I loved it, honestly. After, you know, it's after the first mix, you're like, yeah, this is wicked. Absolutely. But before you've done that, as I say, I was like quivering wreck trying to put, and Tony's like, you'll be all right, mate. It's like, take that vinyl with you. I've literally got to go. Like, bring it back next week. I was like, yeah, all right. Mixed out of his tune. And a few people were like, oh, who's this? Like, because it used to have a lot of the same residents every week, and you had the same guests rotating on a monthly basis. And like I say, you'd have Steve Thomas and Pete Waldman, all the trade guys. And they were like, who's this like spotty, skinny little oik who's just like, it's just nicked Tony Price's headphones off of him. But it went really well. And obviously I went there every week, so I knew what to play, and I was confident enough in my mixing ability and reading the crowd, and having been there so much, I kind of knew what was going to work and what wasn't, and kind of took the energy up a little bit from what Tony was playing. And I know Darren plays a bit deeper, so I kind of brought it down again when I knew he was on his way. And as I left, Vince just like threw me a £50 note. He's like, Spat, you're going to come back next week? And I was like, yeah. And he said, come in here a minute. And he called me into the little kind of booth bit where they had the money and the coats and stuff. And he was like, I know you're a resident over the road. He said, but I want you to come in here every week when you finish. He said, because I want you to be like our standing DJ. He said, because Tony Price is now going up to Gatecrasher. Darren's playing for Cream twice a month. They're up and down the motorway. He said, it's going to happen a lot. Yeah. And he said, that was wicked what you just did. And that was perfect. And he was like, so I want you to come back next week and the week after and the week after. Bring your tunes. And if you need to, I'll sort you out some money, whatever. And I'll start giving you like your own like sets as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I was like, what a nice thing to do as well, because so people are like falling over themselves to try and get in there. But I suppose because we made the effort back then to network and support, and I'd be down there every week just with my mates having a night out and meeting artists and DJs, and it was great. You didn't have social media and stuff back then. It was very much, and that was it. And I started going down there every Saturday. So I met Ali, who was at the Channel Club, found out he lived like 2 miles down the road from me. It was like, how mad is that? What a mad like friendship that was. We've got some stories with that boy. I won't tell him now.
We'll come on to it in a minute.
But that's kind of, that was how I kind of got my first break, I suppose, if you want to call it a break, certainly on the underground circuit. And I was getting so he put me in there monthly, so I had my own monthly set. And then I would kind of stand in, as I say, Darren and Tony, they were residents at the time, but they were just getting so busy, just jetting up and down the M25 every Saturday night and stuck in traffic and being late and whatever. And so I got to jump on quite a few times, and so I was there for years. And then myself, Tony Price, Steve Thomas, they asked us to go to Auckland. And we was there for a week, did radio shows and stuff. I was like signing posters, and I was 19, and I was like, what's going on here? What a place! That Auckland was amazing. It's like everything. You had like the countryside, the mountains, and the beach, like all within like 5 minutes of each other. It's nuts. It's beautiful. And that was my first real sort of international experience of being away for that length of time, literally on the other side of the world, and it was nuts, but it was brilliant. Yeah, and that was from there. That was it. I was just
sidestepping it slightly, for you obviously doing that first sort of kind of standing set. You mentioned all the butterflies, especially back then. Obviously working with vinyl as well. Christ,
after a few beers, Ben, as well. It's not the easiest.
And then obviously you've also got things like going international. Working with them butterflies, having that sort of hesitation, that anxiety and nervousness. Do you have any tips of how you used to deal with it? And I appreciate it some time ago now, mate.
It was a while ago, I won't lie. Just embrace it, I think. And I think if you're getting them pre-gig nerves, it's because you give a shit and you care about what's coming up.
Absolutely.
And it'd almost be worse not to have them butterflies, because then you don't really care. It shows that you care and you're like, right, I need to nail this. But it's like I said earlier, the as soon as you're in there, as soon as you got that first mix out, well, for me anyway, you'd settle into it. You know that the monitor works, the channels are working, your headphones are all good, everything's good. I got my booth set up how I want it to, the mixer's all good, I'm set. So it's just that initial like first part of, especially if you're playing to a big crowd for the first, or somewhere you've not played before.
So I'll tell you my little story, not quite as sexy as yours, I must admit. But like, I'd already played Ministry of Sound. I'd already played like some really cool venues. And then I got a gig down at 414 in Brixton.
Oh, nice, Cold Harbour Lane.
I love the
big up the Cold Harbour Lane, massive.
Exactly. But I'll be honest, because it was as I say, first time I was playing there, and I was having a few pre-drinks with like some mates and all that, and like guys who'd already played there, and for about, I would say, an hour to 2 hours before, they were going, "Oh mate, the mix is so shit, the decks are so shit," and they're like, "Honestly, the bass vibrates," and I went in there thinking like,
just thinking the worst.
I know what I'm doing. But at the same time, these are different decks to what I've played on.
Yeah.
Everything was a bit more sort of kind of old school. As I say, everything was very well used, let's say. And I remember like
well loved.
Exactly. The bass was literally vibrating the slider.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could hear the music trying to change.
Yeah, character building, Ben, it was in there.
Mate, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I just remember like going in there, I'll be honest, I was shitting myself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all I remember doing was just like, right, you know, don't do anything fancy.
Yeah, just do the basics. Yeah.
Get your fundamentals perfect.
Yeah.
And I remember it being one of my best and cleanest sets I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just because I focused on the simplicity.
Because you just concentrate on the,
lovely but terrible decks. But yeah, mate, just get that basics. Just believe what you do.
As I say, once you got that first 5-10 minutes out of the way, and you're golden, you're good to go. But it's good to have a bit of nerves, I think.
I think so. Keeps you on edge, right?
Turn it into adrenaline, can't you?
Absolutely.
When you get a bit older, you learn how to sort of switch it up.
Absolutely.
A little bit.
I like to think it. So what would you say was your, and I don't know whether I'm jumping ahead too quickly, but what would you say your favourite gig you've ever done is?
Oh, God, favourite gig.
I'm sure there's different ones for different reasons, but is there one that like stands out to you rather than favourite?
Gig? I mean, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I mean, there's been, for different reasons, really. I mean, there was Toolroom gigs that I did with Pete, like 338 Garden, where we play like a 3-hour warm-up of
absolutely,
in the sunshine and stuff. Especially like one of like my best mate doing that and experiencing that with him is always special.
Hello, mate.
Big up the grifter. I need to reply to his text, actually. Sorry, mate, I've been really...
Well, this is coming out on the 15th, if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, if I haven't replied by the 15th, I'm a really bad friend. No, we still obviously don't see him as much because obviously we're not working in the same place, but we do, we still catch up all the time. And any time playing with Pete was always really cool. The early gigs as well at Channel, at Trinity was just amazing because it was all fresh and exciting, and I literally would just eat, sleep and breathe it.
How about a change of question? What's your favourite music to mix?
Favourite music to mix?
What do you like
Hard house all day long.
Yeah, is it?
All day long.
I love that.
Yeah, all day long. Because I know every kick clap, kick clap, hat, snare, vocal, stab, synth, build up, snare roll, crash, everything of every record that I ever played.
What's your record that's up your sleeve when you want to wow? Like your go-to when you know
from that era?
Yeah.
It would have to be probably Knucklehead's House Rocker maybe would be up there.
Nice.
That bass line still today just
slaps, absolutely
blows my head off. Yeah. I won't quite get that to there tomorrow, which is a shame. But sorry. Still, I think just because, as I say, that's when I was kind of cutting my teeth and learning, and I'd spent, I don't know, every night for years just practicing in my bedroom, and just, as I say, I listened. But as soon as I used to really annoy my mate because whenever we go out, I'd be like, "Oh, so and so's coming in." They'd be like, "What?" Then like, a minute later, it'd be like, "Oh yeah, it is," because I'd just spot it. Because I'd be like, "Oh, I recognise that hi hat." Like a right little nerd. But I even shaved all my hair off because I've always been like, I've had a thing about my hair. I've always been like, "Don't touch my hair" for whatever reason. Apart from I had my hair cut this morning. Jake, you butchered me this morning, mate. I don't know what you've done. It's really short. Anyway, and because obviously I was playing out a lot and stuff, I'd end up shaving my own hair off. because it was the headphones were just getting in my way, and that's how much I just didn't care about anything else. I was like, I need to, so I just like literally just buzz cut my own hair on a Saturday night. I met everyone in the pub, and they were like, "You're right, like something's different," and I was like, just shaved all my hair off because I was like, it's getting in my way. And I need my headphones to be tight to my head, and I was just in it. Like I absolutely loved it.
You reminded me, like, so I was watching a video of Cole Cox the other day, and he was talking about how sort of kind of, let's say, I don't want to say the word passion because I don't feel like the passion's been lost in music. But with new DJs these days, the old concept of like going out, finding your gigs, you know, chasing the dream, so to speak, has really kind of been lost due to social media. But like you talking about like shaving your head because so your earphones were better. That for me, and that's where I see the word passion, that sort of kind of, let's say, sacrifice. That getting your hands dirty, that just doing whatever's needed to make sure your set is as good as it can be. That's what I feel was kind of lost. You know, obviously you're in the music scene a lot more than I am. What, do you think that's right? Are you seeing that yourself?
We didn't know any different. We didn't know that we were sacrificing.
What's about in comparison to now?
No, it's completely right. But then it's, again, the kids that are grown up don't know any different either. If kids are growing up, I mean, even my girls are, 10 and 13 this year. And they've grown up with, you know, they both had iPads when they were, you know, a year old and everything. It was so funny. So where did we go? I took Lola somewhere. We was in a shopping centre and there was like an ad, you know, you get like the glass screens that are like adverts. She went up and she was trying to like move stuff. I was like, it's not a massive iPad. Like, and I just think different generations, they don't know any different, and it's the social media thing has changed everything. The digital, you know, CDs changed everything, MP3s changed everything, downloads changed everything, streaming changed everything. It's just the way of the world. You've got to roll with it, and it's like,
you've only got to look at the new 3000s. The screen's bigger
they're
than
like
the
that. It's like a tank, isn't it?
Honestly, I looked at it.
They're huge.
Like, don't get me wrong, these are absolutely perfectly fine. But you know, when you kind of, should I?
You're like, I should upgrade.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to build about another 2 foot.
I was going to say, you need a bigger studio.
I have to do flag signals to the deck. So when did, like, obviously you've been DJing, you're starting to make a name for yourself. Obviously you're supporting and filling in for phenomenal DJs.
For Judice. I was really lucky.
When did that sort of kind of then take the next step and start to become a career for you?
So that the Trinity thing really, really helped. I ended up getting an agent off the back of that kind of period. Because again, like I was going out every weekend and I would literally like scribbling my name on a TDK 90 and putting it in a jiffy bag with other flyers I'd been on and stuff. And you'd look for, and again, you didn't have social media or any kind of internet. So you would literally wait till you come out of the club and you'd get given a flyer pack from whoever was out there. It'd be hundreds. Hello, mate. It's like sometimes you'd have like private events giving you stuff for like one-offs, and you get like flyer packs with like 30 flyers. Like, oh, great, holy grail! And I'd sit in the back of the cab on the way home, and that's what I would do. I'd sit through. I'd be like, no, drum and bass, trance. Oh yeah, what's this one? Oh okay. Oh, Tony's playing that. Okay, I'll save that one. And then literally the next week, I would spend, because there'd be a phone number on there. And I'd ring round the promoters. Oh, my name's Matt. You know, I played for so and so, and I see you got an event. I'd love to come down, kind of bring you a demo. Yeah, no worries. I'll put you on the guest list. So I look forward to meeting you. You go down to the event. You take a tape. You'd like check it out, and what DJs are they booking, and how often you're doing the party, what venues you're looking at. And that was it. And then you'd literally just speak to them on the phone.
Part of it, isn't it?
And it was. But if you didn't do that, you wouldn't get anywhere. And I didn't know. Again, I didn't know any different because that's all we could do. That's all I knew. That's how you communicated and you contacted people. So it was just the norm. Whereas as much as that is easier now, I think you lose that. You just definitely lose that personal touch. And I think people maybe expect things a lot quicker now. That instant gratification, whereas back in the day, you kind of earned it. Not saying people don't earn it now, but it's just very different.
Absolutely.
Very different.
I think you could be quite lucky now, right? You know.
It can take like a TikTok moment or a viral clip or something, and before you know it, and I mean, IB for Boss, God bless him. I mean, look at that. I mean, what's all that about? I mean, it's just that, you know, it just goes to the power of the internet, right? You know, right place at the right time, and you know, you get your 15 seconds of fame, and away you go. But yeah, it's a very different time. But no, it was great. I loved it. It wasn't hard work to me. It was. I loved it. That's all I wanted to do. I was just so into it, and it's all I wanted to do. So I just put 110% into that. During the week, I was honing my skills on the decks and learning how to, you know, break through different styles and, you know, blend stuff and build a set and anticipate, like trying to work out different things with the mixer. And weekends I'll be record shopping and doing gigs, and then a week I'll go back through the flyers in the taxi.
Life,
and
isn't it?
I literally lived it. Yeah, I'd literally run in straight from school or sixth form up the stairs, door will go bang, and that'll be it. I'll just be there all night. I loved it.
Because then you went then to actually enter, let's say, the industry, and we'll come on to your productions later because there's loads to talk about that. But actually getting you into, let's say, labels and sort of, let's say, the start of that element of your career.
Yeah.
Was it Principal you started at?
Pinnacle.
Sorry.
Pinnacle Distribution I was
That's
at,
it.
yeah. So that was my first kind of job in the industry, if you like. But I mean, even that sounds like it was during the First World War when I talk about it now. Because I was I basically had like my own kind of roster of shops. So I was kind of brought in as like a dance specialist into the sales team, essentially. But that was the first time that I'd ever seen a kind of record company set up. So it was like all the label managers were down there, and you had press over there, and you had marketing here, and we had the sales team here. And it was like, oh, this is cool. And I can kind of see how they give us this information, and then we sell the product, and they market the product, and you could kind of see how it all works. So it's fascinating. I was like, okay, so this is how it all kind of works, and I started to understand more the kind of the other side of the table, you know, the business side of it, which was great. But that was coming towards the end. I mean, they still had like road reps driving around in white vans with, you know, vinyl with like tape round them and throwing them in shops and stuff, and it's like, and then they started to kind of dwindle, and so wasn't around anymore, and I was a bit like, I think this might be coming to the end. I was only there for a year, but obviously the whole digital thing was kind of kicking in, but I was phoning up shops, playing vinyl down the phone to them, and if they liked it, it's like, that's the one that goes, yeah, I'll take 10 of them. It was nuts, but again, character building, got loads of contacts at record shops all over the country I'd go and see and stuff, and they'd send me stuff in the post, and so that was a good kind of a good experience, and it was a really good team. Randomly, George, who's a director at Toolroom, was in the job that I was doing before I started there, but we kind of crossed. Someone left and I started at the same time he left. So when I went to Toolroom, he was like, I think you went into Pinnacle. He said, I've just left, and we ended up like working together for like the next 13 years, which was nuts. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was good, as I say. And then after a little while, it all kind of just, and I kind of could sense that things weren't quite right. And I started to put the feelers out. And two of my close mates at the time, Ed Real and Nolan was kind of my booking agent at the time. And Ed obviously run Nucleus Records, who signed Mine and Early's first track, which we'll come on to later, I'm sure, Ben.
Absolutely. It's on there, but I'm saving the best till last,
sure
mate.
It is.
That's what it is.
And they just contacted me out of the blue. I was talking to Pippa this morning, and I was like, everything just happens for a reason. Certain things just fall into place in your life, and you have to just trust the process sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I was kind of getting a bit, I'm not sure if this is really working out. And out of nowhere, Nolan just called me up, and he's like, look, we got this website that we've launched. It's like a DJ download Beatport type thing. It's really starting to boot off. We need some more hands on deck. Do you want to come in and be like a label manager?
Amazing.
Look after house, tech house and techno. And I was like, yeah, sweet. Okay, so I did that. So now I'd kind of experienced the physical side and understood the vinyl and the price points and the albums and all that kind of stuff. And then I was going over to the download side. So I kind of learned the digital side and the difference in royalty rates and stuff. And yes, it's very much my role to look after those three genres. So I'd have to pick out key releases each week, write a feature on them, like, you know, Carl Cox support or whatever it is, or, you know, so then that would go into the highlighted section. Then obviously you'd keep a tab on what was selling and what wasn't. And, and it was my job to bring in other labels, which is where I built the relationship with Toolroom, because I speak to Stuart all the time. And we started doing some merch for Toolroom at the time. We'd speak to Stuart, did like remix comps with Toolroom and stuff as well. And so that's kind of where that relationship sort of built up. And then I was there for 3 years, and again just got to the end, and I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I want to do something else. Sent 2 CVs out, one to my mate Duncan, who managed Dead Mouse, and one to Stuart at Toolroom. And I got a call the next day from someone at Toolroom saying, do you want to come in for a chat? You know, I've got your CV, do you want to come in? And then they offered it to me, and I was like,
Well, what do we do?
Squeaky bum time all over again. And then so that was how I kind of progressed into that. And here we are 25 years later, still winging it. It's not, I keep saying 25, it's not quite 25 years, it's more like 20, but still winging it. But
absolutely.
But yeah, kind of, it was as I say, things happen and fall into place. And I feel like I had that experience with the Pinnacle experience of, you know, with the vinyl and the road reps and a very much kind of old school kind of marketing kind of process, and then going over to Trackitdown and seeing, you know, the rows and rows of metadata and Excel sheets and all that sort of stuff that was wow, what is this? Like, this is crazy. And that was obviously the next step in the digital era, really, that I was kind of involved in.
Your Toolroom career actually blossomed very quickly.
You kind
of went from that original thing to like manager of albums, and I think head of A&R in space of 2 years?
Yes, I went in 2011. I started at Toolroom, February 2011, and I went in as a licensing assistant. And I was on £100 a week when I started there. I'm sure they won't mind me telling you. This was a long time ago now, just to cover travel.
Minimum wage didn't exist.
Just saying, don't anyone tell anyone. Right, let's cut that. Start again. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But no, just like covering travel and stuff, just as a bit of an interim, tester period kind of thing. And I don't know why, I just knew that. I just thought if I can get in there, and at that time I'd kind of come out of the harder stuff, and I was getting more into the houseier stuff, more sort of tech house stuff. Yep. I'd been to a couple of Toolroom Nights events at Ministry, so I kind of knew what the label was about. And obviously because of the work I was doing to track it down, I knew the releases. I was like, I really like this sort of stuff. Yeah. I remember Mark did a sessions, I think I've still got it indoors somewhere. He did a sessions mix, which was like a Ministry of Sound album. And it had like loads of really good like tribal techie sort of stuff that I'd not really heard before. And I was like, oh, this is really fucking cool. Like a bit slower and a bit more stripped back to the stuff from sort of years ago. But there was just something about it, just a bit of a vibe. And I was like, this is fucking cool. Yeah, I started going to the events and went to 2 or 3. Didn't really get to meet anyone because I wasn't really in that world. I was kind of stepping into something new. But then, I was chatting to Stuart about the job and stuff. He's like, yeah, do you want to come down? And it was amazing. So I kind of got in, went in as a licensing assistant, and I kind of knew that if I can just get in there, I reckon I can make a good enough impression that I reckon I can get something out of it. I reckon there'll be something there for me. And so I was in there for a few months, and I said, look, I've got to be honest, I'm really struggling to like make this work for 6 months. This was after 3 months because of the money and stuff. So you're only covering, which was, I totally agreed to it because I just wanted to get a foot in the door. So it was totally fine. And I said, look, can we discuss? And I was like, look, we're going to offer you a permanent role. Give me a salary and stuff, which was great. And they put me in as like a licensing assistant. But back then iTunes was massive. I mean, we was doing like an album a week. It was nuts.
Really?
And we would be licensing in the biggest records. I mean, the albums were turning over so much money back then. It was all for iTunes. iTunes was massive. Back then, as I say. And then because I came in, I started licensing the tracks in for George, who was like the album's manager, but it was just George doing the albums, and he was drowning because they were like, right, we need to do another album. Let's come up with a new concept. Let's do Ibiza, let's do Miami. And he was like, oh, Jesus, like, it's one-man band here. So after about 6 months, they said to me, look, can you, like, this is fine, we can handle this. Can you go and give George Jam? Can we put you in with the albums kind of thing? You know your way around the licensing, and you know the contracts and the terms and advances and royalties and third-party stuff and all that. Can you? And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll do that. So, so I went and worked with George, which was great. George is wicked. I love George. He's literally the funniest person I've ever met in my life. He's amazing and just so clued up, such a eclectic music fan. There's what he doesn't know about music is just not worth knowing. Kind of thing. Honestly, I learned so much from George. He was brilliant. So we're I was like albums like assistant or whatever the title was for a while. And then they had a bit of a shift round and they made me albums manager, and I did that for a year. Which was great. And again, me and George come up with some concepts like Ibiza Underground was something that we come up together, which is around the time that George Fitzgerald was kind of doing that kind of really quick garagey stuff, and Will Saul was doing really cool stuff on House, and Dusky and Huxler, all these, this sound, we just loved it. It was got garagey, but a bit new and a bit cool. And so we kind of come up with these album concepts that did really well. Yeah, so I did that for a year. And then Mark decided that he wanted to kind of relaunch Toolroom Tracks, which was always there. It was always a sub-label before I started, but I mean, before I started, they didn't can it, but they just stopped releasing on it. But I think that the Tracks label started to compete for the same territory and the same sound and the same DJs that Toolroom was, and it became almost like you sort of cannibalised yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas when we kind of relaunched it, Mark was like, let's just go like proper techno, like the drum code was having it off back then as well, and it was proper like balls to the wall techno sort of stuff. And he was like, look, he said, we've got this, we've got that, we've got Toolroom to do the main tech house stuff. We want something that's going to compete, it's going to live in that sort of world. And obviously with my background with the hard house and the techno and stuff, I was like, fucking sweet. I was like, I won the lottery. I was like, it was brilliant. I was like, fucking yes, here we go. And it was great, and that's what I did. The first release was a Gabriel Ben record. I think it was called 001. Or did I make that up? Maybe that's just catalogue number. But it's like a big, it was like a big, I'm gonna Google that in a minute. I'll confirm later. Big acidy thing. I had a Harry Romero record that had a big acid line, and it was great. It was wicked. I was really into the music, and it was different. All the Toolroom guys were like, fucking hell, what's that kind of thing? This is a bit different.
Yeah.
But it really worked, and I did that for a year and managed to build up a good roster. Sort of found Adrian Hour, who later became like a resident, and we managed him for quite a few years, and so that was a really, really key discovery for Toolroom Tracks.
Well, sorry to interject, sorry to interrupt, should I say, but like obviously at that time, Toolroom were going through a bit of a rebrand, and as you say, suddenly bringing out or relaunching or whatever you want to call it, Toolroom Tracks, which was a bit of a sidestep from their tech house sound. How was you going about sort of building up the reputation and getting people to want to work with you? And as you say, in comparison to the likes of Drum Code, who were absolutely dominating that stage in the techno space, what would you do to get people on board?
I think, just to touch on the rebrand, that was around the whole kind of EDM boom of your Nicky Romero's, your Hardwells, and we, as a business, we were kind of doing all right. We were just kind of treading water for a couple of years, and then this EDM thing started to boot off, and Mark was like, do we need to get into this a little bit? I think we're missing a trick, but none of us, Mark included, and I'm sure he'll hold his hands up now and agree, which is why we did the rebrand, was really into it. But we kind of felt like a bit of a necessary evil. We're going to be left behind a little bit. So he kind of briefed us and said, look, we need to get some of this EDM stuff in. So I managed to get a Hardwell record in, got a Nicky Romero record in. But you could just tell, like, just around the office, obviously my job as A&R, once I get to a certain point of the conveyor belt, it goes over to different departments, and it will go to Mikey and the guys in marketing, and they're writing press releases and coming up with plans. And you could just tell, if it was only for a few months, you could tell just in that few months, the kind of people lost a little bit of themselves in that, and they were like, oh, what do I say? Because Mark wasn't playing it, none of us were really into it. But it was kind of like a business decision, because it felt like we needed to kind of keep up with the Joneses, and we don't want to get left behind. And we kind of tried it just didn't work. Like, no one really was into it. Sold Hardwell record, Beatport #1, and it was massive. Financially, it was one of the biggest records ever. I mean, great.
But if you don't love it, right?
But you're in this for the passion. I think if you're in it and you're signing records that you don't love and that you're not passionate about, like, are you doing the right thing? And we all knew that, and it was obviously a conversation that we all had with senior members of staff at some point. And that's when Miles had come in as like a brand director. And he was like, I think we need to just start from scratch. We need to, so we got like a proper agency in who interviewed all the staff, interviewed all the fans. And I still remember there was, he was in the boardroom and he wrote different interviews were on different coloured Post-it notes. So like all staff's feedback was on orange, all the fans was on green or whatever. There's all these Post-it notes all over the boardroom. It looks like chaos, but he knew what it was. And he in the end, I think he went around and picked one Post-it note from each colour, and that was the one word that came up the most, and they were the 3 key points that we focused on.
Amazing. And
it was fascinating, it was amazing. And this guy was brilliant. Like, we changed the logo and stuff, and he was like, right, if we're going to do this, we need to build a roster, and we stick to our guns. Everything's a pendulum, everything swings round. What's cool now won't be cool in 3 years, and what's not cool now will be cool again. And it's like the whole hard house thing coming back around again with Hannah Lang and all that. It's crazy.
I've been seeing Lisa Lashes everywhere.
She's back. She's loving life. She's back in the fold. And it all just swings around, doesn't it? Everything just comes back around. He was like, right, if we're going to do this, we're going to stand firm. This is what we stand for. And it was kind of house, tech house, and techno. So we signed Vice, who was Richard Dinsdale.
Absolutely.
Obviously Mark in the middle, and then Adrian Hour, who was coming in as this kind of, he was Argentinian kid, like early 20s, like ridiculously talented producer. And that was the kind of backbone of the label moving forward, and that was the whole reset campaign. We did like a big campaign. We used to do events at Fire.
Amazing.
We had like Dosem playing. The parties were so good, and everyone was buzzing because it was just like, yeah, here we go. This is it. This is almost like that little blip that we had. If it was a blip, but that little period, that 3 to 6 month period, everyone would be like, oh, what are we doing? Is this the right thing? Was almost a good thing because then it made this a million times better and stronger. And that's what we stuck to. And it was brilliant. And that's when things really started to pick up. And that's when they moved me into the A&R of Toolroom. Yeah. That's when they started the Academy. So Pete went into Academy and I stepped into the A&R role at Toolroom. And that's when it all just started booting off and everything just clicked into place. I was super confident at that point. I was really happy, buzzing. I built good relationships with artists. I was getting a lot of music in, and it was a great time. It was a risk. It was a risk. And it was, touch and go whether it was going to work or not. And we had a lot of staff at that point. I mean, I think 20 plus members of staff, which were kind of family run, sort of local.
Any type of label,
independent label is a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of risk. But luckily for us at the time, it paid off. And look where the label is now. They're still flying and having a great time and putting out good tunes.
Because of you, mate, or because of you?
So I played a small part in the maybe more than a small part, but I played a part which I'm massively proud of, to be honest. So
like you've obviously then got so everything's kicked off again.
Yeah,
you've got this clear brand, this clear message. This is who Toolroom are.
Yeah.
But obviously, when it then comes to A&R, you're constantly trying to find new music. Yes, you've got your legacy artists, your network that you're working with. But look, let's be honest, you're only going to keep building if you keep getting new artists that are the new big thing. How did A&R work back then? Because obviously these days, and we'll come on to it a bit more with what you're doing nowadays with the Cross, etc. Yeah. But back then, obviously, social media was only really starting to come into play. Obviously, TikTok, etc., didn't exist. So, what would your process be to you get a demo in? What would you then do? Was it really just based? Okay, I like this track or don't like this track. Yeah, was it that simple?
I mean, it was in a way it was easier back then because I've always said 90% of A&R, certainly for me, is gut feeling. Yeah. Does that record move you? And I don't mean does it make you want to cry? Does it make you does it want to make you smash stuff up? Does it make you want to get out your seat and dance? Does it make you want to cry? Does it make you want to smile? Does it make you want to hug your best? Does it do something to you? And are you going to get in that taxi on the way home and remember it and be like, oh, was that tune that he played that went whatever, that sticks in your head? Yeah. So that for me, and I'm not saying this in a big edit, that is relative. That part is relatively easy because you're like, yes, brilliant.
Just relies on your taste.
Just relies, and that's when you're somewhere like I was at Toolroom for such a long time. You become the label becomes part of you, and you become part of the label, and the DNA kind of intertwines. And
it's playing your ears in many ways.
It is, yeah. But I mean, a lot of that does come obviously from Mark as well. Mark was obviously a huge influence, and again, massive props to Mark. Learnt loads working with Mark.
Just to take one step back though, mate, and give you your validation where it's needed. I believe the biggest track for Toolroom has been Vice Fill My Needs.
It did all right, that one, yeah.
And who was that that found that, mate?
Was it you? It might have been me that got sent it. But I've got to say, it was very much a team effort in terms of getting the end product.
You're too polite.
Just being honest, mate. No, it was. But that was around the time when Pete was managing Rich, of course, who was Vice, and he kind of came up with the kind of new alias and stuff, and it was wicked. Like, and I remember Rich, he was doing some EDM-y sort of stuff that he didn't really want to do, and he was sending us it. We're like, "What are you doing? What's this?" And he's like, "I don't know. Like, manager's telling me to do this." And Pete was like, "Right." He said, "Do me a favour." He said, "This weekend, so go to the studio, turn your phone off, sit in the studio, send me 3 demos of tracks that." If there was no restrictions, no restraints, no nothing, if you could make the music you wanted to make, forget about Dinsdale, whatever it is, your history, past, future, if you could make 3 tracks that you want to make and you want to be playing in your set, just do me 3 loops of something that you want to send me. And then the following Monday, it was more than 3 because he got right on one in the studio and sent loads. But the first one that we listened to was My Sister. I don't know if you know that off the top. Yep. Sister, I said sister. Sorry, cut my singing out. And we played it, and Pete was just playing it in the office. And I remember Mark walked through and was like, "Fucking hell was that?" And he was like, Pete was like, "Oh, I've got a couple more. Have a little listen." Played through it. It's like, yeah, that's good. That first one, it was wicked though. Who is it? And Pete just kept playing through these demos. He was like, you'll never guess who it is. He was like, oh, like, tell me. He was like, it's Dinsdale. Mark was like, fuck off. No, it's not. He was like, no, it is. And he was like, fucking hell. So he was like, right, there's something in that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was all like the old Todd Terry, like jacking drums. And very old school, kind of gritty Chicago sort of housey stuff, like cool as fuck. And it was around the time Jesse Rose was having a bit of a moment, and Oliver Dollar and that low slung, really like dirty housey stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like really deep bass lines, but this was just like fresh, because there was someone had like cut the shackles off him and just gone, away you go.
Do you find that a lot? Like, do you find a lot of artists are hindered by management, or certainly a direction people are trying to get them to go?
I don't necessarily think people are hindered by management. I think there's certain...
Maybe get stuck in a category.
I think there's certain expectations. I think when you get to a certain level in a certain kind of genre, in a certain scene, it's quite hard to break out of that. Obviously, more established acts can kind of do that. I mean, again, just to use Mark as an example, in later years could do that, and he started the Fool's Paradise label where he could do some disco stuff, and he'll do like the techno thumpers on tracks, and he could kind of be a bit more varied. But I suppose in the early years, it's a bit harder. It can be quite clicky out there as well. That's the thing. And once you get into a certain kind of click, it's quite hard to shimmy out of it. And so it can be a difficult thing to navigate. Yeah, for sure. I don't necessarily think it's management, but it's more the scene you get into. How you navigate that.
So looking at the rebrand of Toolroom, it was about channeling the message and who we are, what we stand for, and what the sound is. And how often do you come across, actually, maybe changing the question slightly again, how often do you coach or require, speak to artists to say, you're a bit too bored, or maybe go down this route? Do you have much direction with that?
Not necessarily as an A&R from a label. Because obviously the artist is kind of doing their artist thing.
Course,
but I mean, there have been artists over the years, I guess, that are a bit, I would call it maybe sporadic in terms of they don't really stand for one thing. Yeah. Which makes it difficult for a label to get behind, because you don't know that they're, we've had artists in the past, not to call anyone out or anything, it's not a problem, but it would send us, some deep vocally housey stuff, and then they're sending us like tracksy bits, and it's like, well, kind of need to decide where you want to sit, not just for us, but for your career. Like, and there have been artists before that we've kind of worked with that we've had to speak to and be like, 1 week you're releasing this on this label, and then you're going from 124 BPM like deep house thing up to 130 BPM full-on tech house. When you go on the other side of the table as a promoter, they're not going to book you because they don't know what are they going to get this 124 deep house artist, or are they going to get this 130 BPM? They don't know. So you're not going to get the bookings are going to suffer. Your identity is going to suffer. Your fan base will suffer because they don't know what they're getting. So it is difficult, but at the same time, and I don't mean to contradict myself, it is good just not to do exactly the same thing and open up the same project and just change a hi-hat every time that you make a new track. I was
about to say, turning that into advice for sort of kind of aspiring producers out there. Is that something you actively suggest? Is like, look, find your one sound.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's naturally healthy to, as I say, just do the same thing over and over again, because that gets boring for everyone, including the artist.
Of course, absolutely.
So it's good but it's like we did with Tool, and we had a remit, and we called it Trimming the Fat, because we were doing stuff that was too deep, too commercial, too hard, and we trimmed the fat, and we made, all right, so it spanned between, say on Beatport, the house, tech house and techno genres, very rarely in techno. Maybe Adrian was in techno a few times, but other than that, it was just house and tech house. So it's a lot more trimmed, not so much of the melodic stuff. It was straight up clubby stuff.
People knew what to
expect. What Mark would always say, that, Toolroom is a club brand, and always has been, always will be. But obviously when you get to a certain point as a label, as a brand, a global brand like that, there does become a point where you need to start signing bigger records, and sometimes the bigger records will cost you more money, but in turn they might not be something that you're going to play in the middle of your set. But it's going to get added to daytime radio, and it's going to chart in the top 40, and it's going to do this and that, and open up other doors that these other records might not do. So you almost need to do these records to sort of justify these ones, if that makes sense. You need to do a few of them a year, maybe one a quarter, to sort of fund these ones that aren't necessarily going to do anything on Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon, but they'll smash Beatport.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's the download scene is a lot smaller and a lot less than the streaming kind of market. So it's a bit of a balancing act, and it's finding. And I think the one kind of retort that we always had with the more commercial records was that they were classy and they weren't cheesy, they weren't naff, they weren't shit naff remakes of 90s R&B tunes and sped up and just really baity samples and stuff. It was always classy. It was always, even if the kind of record that you could send to an artist that they might not play it, but they'd be like, it's not really my thing, but fucking hell, that's really, really good, Dad. They've done a really good job on that. And you get that respect. And that was kind of the remit of, if we're going to do these kind of records, they need to be that. They need to be classy. And a good representation of the label. So we never just sold out and just signed the most obvious bootleg of something and put it out just for a payday or whatever. It's never like that. So, and as the label progressed through the following years, obviously as you touched on Feel My Needs earlier, that was kind of I wouldn't say turning point, but that was the time when we realised that we could put records away in-house, and the phone was ringing off the hook with all the majors calling, and Ministry were in, and Sony and Warner's, and just kept it ourselves, did everything ourselves, did the remix campaign ourselves, all the radio and stuff, and it was massive. I've got a nice 3 discs in my hallway because of that record.
That's amazing.
Silver, gold, and a platinum. That one, yeah. So it was brilliant.
What are they? The Feel My Needs.
Well, it's just we hit silver first of all, which is 200,000 units, and then gold is 400, and then platinum is 600.
Amazing,
and it was just a nice win for an independent label in Maidstone that we kind of batted off. Everyone's we'll give you this much money and that money. It was like, well, no, we want to almost prove to ourselves, not just everyone else, that we can do it. And then that gave us a bit of a blueprint then for moving forwards. And we had the Left Wing Cody record that was a year later that kind of followed a similar trajectory. And we had a few after that. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, because that was how I feel it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
What
record? Sorry, I'm allowed to swear?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck yes, you are.
Fucking excellent news.
No, to be fair.
I do tend to swear when I'll start telling a passionate story. I do get a bit into it, so you'll have to forgive me.
No.
You'll have to bleep me out.
Just before we come on to, because I think we've covered, obviously, I actually sat down with Miles a couple of months ago, so very conscious of overdoing Toolroom.
Yeah.
And also, let's be honest, you have much more important things to do right now.
Well, I do now because I don't work there anymore.
Exactly,
but at the time it was important,
But just before we do move on,
yes.
What was a highlight for you at Toolroom?
Highlight?
Yeah, what was the kind of crowning moment for you?
I had some of the best times of my life at that place. In the office, out of the office, parties. What I learned when I think of the person I was when I started there to what I was when I left is just like night and day.
Yeah.
I remember, I've got really bad OCD, so I was there about 40 minutes early on my first day.
Yeah.
And I remember, and it was in like this old kind of warehouse in the Power Hub in Maidstone. And I just remember pacing up and down outside with Oasis Rock and Roll Star, just playing on my earphones, like G'ing myself up. Like I was about to get in the octagon or something.
Amazing.
Just to like G myself up, like, oh, no, you'll be all right. And that's always been my go-to tune whenever I need to like psych myself up for something, just on a personal note. And it was brilliant. I loved it. And then, obviously learned a lot. As you say, the kind of rise to head of A&R was relatively quick, I guess, given my experience and whatever, but it just seemed to work, and it was a wicked team, and I got on with everyone and understood the music and the kind of culture, and was DJing a lot more myself, was making a lot more music myself then, so I was in it.
Yeah,
I was talking about it before we kind of hit the button, and I was in it on a weekly basis, playing out a lot. We had a lot of residencies, Switzerland and Germany, and obviously Ibiza, and so we used to one of the boys, like me, Pete, Mark Story, George, one of us would go pretty much every weekend and support Mark somewhere, and it was great. It was brilliant, and kind of
had a lot of artists that were being managed to it. Obviously Maxine, Wheat, so Vice, all these. Yeah, so you're following them around as well, or?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, as much as we could. That was around the time that I had my first daughter, Lily. So that kind of obviously priorities change a little bit when that happens.
You just took her with you.
You get no sleep for a different reason. But no, it was brilliant. And I don't know if I can pick out one highlight really. I mean, there was hundreds and thousands.
Time.
Yeah, it was a great time. I loved it. Honestly, in terms of music, I suppose Feel My Needs was on paper the most successful record, and the fact that it was with Rich, who I was really good mates with. He's a fellow Star Wars geek, Tottenham fan, unfortunately, but can't win them all. Apart from that, he's all right.
I don't think I showed you on your way in. My front room downstairs, I think you're going to geek out again.
Oh, no, really?
We've got a moment downstairs when this is all done.
I'm glad I didn't see it before. We'd have been talking about that for hours otherwise. But so, yeah, Feel My Needs was a massive thing, not just for me personally, but for Mark and the boys and the rest of the team and the label. And it was a great success story, followed by Left Wing Cody, which was more like... I don't know, the story of that was like, because we had a studio that wasn't really being used in the office, and John from Left Wing Cody just moved to Maidstone to move in with his girlfriend, who he's now married to. They've just had a baby, bless him. And he texted me saying, I moved to Maidstone, do you know anyone with a studio that I could sort of rent, because I don't want to be going backwards and forwards to London. And I spoke to Mark, and he's like, well, tell him to come in here. Like, he sends us music and he's engineering stuff. Like, it's just sat there gathering dust.
But we have to get the release.
Yeah. You're a smart cookie, Ben. Paid off in this instance, I tell you. So John was coming in and was renting the studio, and he'd have sessions in the evening, and during the day he'd come in and be helping us out with sample pack stuff and just general kind of audio editing and stuff during the day. And then... I still remember it really. And he walked in one Monday morning. He was just about to walk through, and he went, "Oh, Matt," he's like, "I've got you got 5 minutes at lunch?" I was like, "Yeah, wait." He's like, I think I might have. So I've got to play you something. I was like, "Yeah, cool. Give me a shout." And I sat down and had my lunch. He's like, "You got a minute?" I was like, "Yeah." So he called me down to the studio, and I sat down. I was like, "Come on in, Johnny boy. What you got?" And all that. He's like, "Well, it's only like really short." He said, "But I found this sample and I've played this piano. And I just feel like there's really something in it." I was like, "Yeah, good." And I was just like, people say that all the time. Let's have a listen kind of thing. Oh, yeah, it's all right. And he literally played it, and it was just the 8-bar loop of "I feel it deep in my heart" with the piano. And I, like, instantly, as it is now, the hairs on my arms just went ping, and I was just like...
Love it.
And that's when I say about 90% gut. I was just like... And he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Can you just loop it?" So he just looped it up, and it was just this little piano, just a piano. There was no beats, no drums, no nothing. But as a hook...
Amazing.
It was stuck in my head for 2 weeks, and I heard it for about 5 seconds. And I remember going out to the office. I was like, "Mark, I think he's on the call." I was like, "You got to come down here." He's like, "What?" I was like, "You got to come down here." And I was like, John has got something. And he's like, "Right, okay." We sat in the studio, listened to it, and was like, fucking hell, like, wow, that is... Every now and again that happened. Rich was really good at that, finding really obscure samples and vocals, layering them. Like, it would be like in the middle of a sentence, it wouldn't even be a chorus, and he'd put that and that together, and it would make this, and you'd be like, how do you listen to that and think, I know what I'm going to do? I mean, that's a skill in itself. Yeah. And John had just found this vocal and this piano that he'd written, and it was just magic in it. And then after that, Mark was very involved in the kind of production of that as well, and getting that to a point where it's kind of ready for radio, and that went on and followed a very similar trajectory to Feel My Needs. We actually upstreamed that to Columbia, because Columbia come in and wanted to sign Left Wing Cody as an artist, but they would only sign him as an artist if they got that record. And we were like, so we were a bit like, well, we'll sign these boys as an act because we love them, but only if you let us have this. And we were a bit like, well, we don't do that. Like, we didn't do that. But obviously we were really good mates with John and Chris. Chris actually played at my birthday party last year. What a legend he is. And my 40 plus 5, that was. We'll cut,
21
that
again.
bit out.
21 again. 21 again.
20 plus 20. And a couple more, just for good measure, just for luck. So they signed to Columbia off the back of that, and we upstreamed it to Columbia.
It must be quite cool seeing like artists you've worked with for so long and being good friends with them, suddenly seeing taking off like
it's a buzz. It's a massive buzz.
Well, that was a question I was actually going to ask, and you may have already answered it. But when you do sort of kind of find that track and you're like, fuck, I know this one. How does that, like, what's the feeling that goes through you? Like,
it's hard to describe, really. It's a lot of adrenaline, a buzz. Your heart kind of beats a bit faster. My lower back starts to sweat. Depending on the style of the record, the hairs on my arms will start. I'll be stood up, I'll be twitching, I'll be tapping, and I'll play it about 10 times back to back. It is... I say rare. I mean, it is rare that you get that moment, but you do get it. And I've had it recently in the last few months, on more than one occasion, which is a lucky position to be in. That I still get that I don't know. I suppose it's a buzz like before you go on and you're DJing, but you're nervous, but you turn it into, like I was saying earlier, you flip that into adrenaline. You're like, oh, fucking hell, here we go.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do the old classic A&R, the needle drop, you know, before the bass line comes in, the bass line, the breakdown, the drop, the outro. You know within 5 seconds if it's not for you.
Yeah.
That's the easiest bit. You're like, but no, that's not going to work for us. And the ones that you think, okay, maybe they will, you go back and you'll play them all. Because obviously we get you... A&Rs get sent hundreds and hundreds of records a week, and it's a lot. It's a lot to go through. And I certainly noticed in the new role at Club Class with James and Medusa, the amount of song pitches that we get. You know, would this work for your guys? And that's the one thing that I never had at Toolroom, because we didn't have the artists necessarily of that kind of that caliber and profile, where people were constantly pitching records and top lines and stuff too, which they do now, which is a different skill set altogether. But yeah.
Well, why don't we use that as a beautiful segue? Let's.
We're too good at this, but we should do this more often.
Mate, you're welcome anytime.
Like Smith and Jones.
Welcome anytime. So look, mate, next step, Club Class management. What a phenomenal up step for you, brother. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So, I mean, I've known Kevin Surge, the directors of Club Class. I've known both of them for years. Kev used to manage Rich in the Dinsdale days before Vice. I've known Kev for years, known Surge for years. Surge is a local Maidstone boy. He owned a venue called the River Bar, where he used to put events on called Club Class events, and he managed. Very well, mate. Yeah, mate.
I was born in Gravesend.
Of course you was, yeah.
Icon,
oh yeah, nice.
All that, like, mate, I was there, brother.
So it's so Surge has been like a real kind of face in Maidstone for decades, certainly in the dance scene, and managed Nick Fanciulli in the early days, and had the River Bar as a venue, and so I've known him for years. Not really necessarily worked together as such, but summer before last, 2024, we had a kind of catch up, me, Mark and Kevin Surge, and said about redoing some old catalogue. So we said to James Hype, why doesn't he do Feel My Needs, do like a new clubbier edit of it.
Yep.
Hadn't been touched for like 7 years or whatever it was. We was like, we'll do like a clubby update for the summer and stuff, which he did. And obviously, so we got chatting to Kevin Surge, and we kind of worked on a project together, and I got to meet the rest of the team, and it was really good. We kind of met up at ADE and was chatting about stuff and hanging out with Tom and Maisie, who'd like just absolute legends, the pair of them. And just kind of got chatting, and we got chatting after that, and Surge just called me up and said, campaign's been brilliant, like James is chuffed, like the support's been really good from the label, and you fancy a beer, and we just turned up, went for a beer, and we just kind of had a chat, and they were just like, so what you happy, because we, or are you, are you up, what are you happy where you are? Are you staying put? Are you looking for other things? And I said, honest at the time, so I'm not looking for anything, but if something presents itself and I feel that it's going to propel my career, then I'll look at it, kind of thing. I'm not desperate to move, and I had a couple of other offers come in before that, not offers, but chats. People approach opportunities that I just didn't really feel right, that I didn't follow up with, because it just didn't feel like the right thing to do. And obviously it wasn't, because I've done what I've done now, and I'm massively happy. So, but they just said, look, in terms of the roster and the business, live is up here, and we're turning down like 20 shows a day for James and Medusa, because it's just insane. And the music's kind of could be here, but it's here because we're just so thinly stretched. In terms of staff and someone coming in with a real ear and who can get hold of the labels and organise everything and help A&R the music.
Yeah, of course.
So they sort of created a head of music role and said, look, we'll create this role for you if you want to come in and do it. And I mean, I was chatting to them for, it's about 6-7 months.
Oh, really?
It was a long time. And it wasn't an easy decision.
Well, I remember when we were first talking about you coming
you said
on,
that
mate.
earlier, yeah.
When it was like, Matt, come on the podcast. He went, give it a minute, mate. Like, something might be changing.
So give me a few months, because I don't. Cause I remember
was a year ago.
So I was like, I'm not sure. Like, just give me like a couple of months, because I don't know. And it was a tough time. When I overthink everything anyway. It's just the kind of person I am, and it was quite a stressful time, because obviously I was there for 13 years, and it's a big thing. And
it's a big move, right?
But it was like, everyone I spoke to about it since was like, I was just going through. I'd kind of done, my title was the same for that 10 years when I went into the A&R after rebrand. So that, and unless Mark moved on to do anything else, or there was no real room for growth. I think that was my main kind of gripe. And I didn't just want to plod and be like, oh, well, it's, comfortable and I know everyone and I love the job, and which I did. Yeah. But I was like, I need that, that fire in my belly again. And I had, rightly or wrongly, kind of lost that over the past couple of years, because I just felt like it was just like a bit of a conveyor belt.
Monotonous, right?
But I had friends for life there, and I still have, and I always will. And that was the tough bit. And I think Mark, they were all absolutely fine, and they totally got it. I spoke to them all individually, and the first conversation I had about it was just like I was breaking up with my girl. Yeah, honestly, I'd built it up more than anyone else, because I didn't want to upset anyone or piss anyone off, or because that's not in my nature, and I didn't. But they knew that, and they were like, look, we get it. You've been here for a long time. It is a good opportunity. The artists are global acts, and the whole, working with Ireland and Universal and stuff has been fantastic, and it's been a real learning curve. I've learned so much in the past year, which is why I did it. That's why I took the plunge. And just like I said to you earlier, the first meeting I had at Ireland, there was like 20 people in the room, and I was just like, geez, I was used to meet Mark and George in the boardroom, which wasn't a problem. That's just what the job was. But so it was a proper level up. And certainly now Kev is going into paternity leave because he's having a baby, bless it. Well, he's not, his girlfriend is, fiance, sorry. So I'm going to be congratulations. So I'm going to be stepping up into more of a kind of senior role, and kind of overseeing the rollouts of James and Medusa's records through Ireland this year, which is going to be
that's amazing.
Another, it's great. It's a buzz. It's a real buzz, but it's nice. It's nice that sometimes it sounds cheesy. You got to trust your gut. As I say, the chats I had before didn't feel right, and this one just did. And it's the same as what you were saying about the music, mate, right? Trust your gut. It don't always work with the music, but now and again it does. But.
Of course. Well, look, obviously, having spent 13 years at Toolroom, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. You've got your clear branding, as we've already discussed. Yeah. You've got your taste for music. You know what you're looking for. And then suddenly sort of upheaving and then going into a potentially a much bigger arena, as you say, these global artists. How do you prepare, and what do you do day one for something like that? What did you do?
I actually built furniture on my first day. You wasn't expecting that, was you?
I wasn't at all.
No, we all...
mate, they really brought you into
bring your own desk. No, we all had new desks and chairs and stuff, and we'd had like a massive clear out on the first day, so we was all like putting desks and chairs, and it's like a team bonding exercise. It's like building rafts, like orienteering.
Who's got the Phillips?
Right, who's got the Allen key? Come on. I mean, again, it sounds weird, but I felt comfortable really quickly, and I don't know if that's because I knew a few of the guys quite well before, but I did within the first week. I was like, felt comfortable. Obviously, I knew there was a lot to do. There was a lot of, I think my priorities, certainly in that first kind of 4 to 6 weeks, was organisation really, and getting everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, because there was different people would have different release schedules that they would update themselves, and I'd be like, well, if you update that, they don't know it's updated. And I was like, right, okay, we need to get this kind of...
in such a big organisation must have its own complications.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot going on, and that's why it made sense to have more of a centralised system that we all had access to. And I update that every day. There's, it's like with music and schedules and artists, and things are moving all the time. So that was my first initial, was like, let's just get all this organised. Don't worry about the music, can come in a bit. There's stuff in the schedule that are just going to come through, and we've got Dom, who's our kind of product manager, who's great at kind of rolling everything out. So I kind of knew I could trust him to kind of deal with that in the interim while I kind of get the schedules and everything all organised. And so every label's got its own kind of sheet, and it's like check sheets of, heads of agreement and samples and this, tick boxes. And so everyone knows what's been done, what hasn't been done. Has it gone to radio? Has it gone to club? Blah, 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 blah. And then everyone's got access to that. So at any point of any day, on your phone, on your laptop, wherever you are, you can check. Is that, that's been done. That's great. I won't worry. I don't have to do that. So that was my initial, because I say the live is such a big thing, because it's a management company. This is first and foremost. the music was more of a secondary thing through bringing the bigger artist on. So, but now that both James and Medusa have got their own labels as well, which obviously goes through Club Class alongside the Cross, there was a lot to kind of unpack and get ship shape. And we're still, you know, I mean, I'm a year in now. I mean, I'm happy with where it's at, but there's still work to do in certain areas. It was never going to be an overnight thing.
Of course.
But it's been great. I love it.
Amazing, man. Because like even just that, like just talking about Club Class and what you're doing there as the head of music, even very quickly just into that role, you then got handed another role within the job by relaunching The Cross.
Yeah, that was kind of my.
You don't do things by halves, do you?
That was kind of my fault as well. That one. Which now, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I was obviously coming from Toolroom. I had so many good friends and relationships with artists and producers from the last sort of 13 years that naturally I was still going to be getting sent music regardless of where I was.
Of course, and
so it got to a point, and obviously people had seen that I'd gone to Club Class, I worked with James and Medusa, and didn't necessarily know anything about the Cross at that time because it was kind of on a bit of a back burner.
Of course,
But yeah, I was getting all these demos and they were really good, like from my mates. And I was like, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Thinking, well, fuck, what am I going to do with that? Because it's not, you know, Turner is very kind of more melodic house and techno. And James is obviously very kind of peak time kind of tech house stuff. And this stuff was like kind of in the middle somewhere, but I didn't know where it sat. And I was like, fucking, I want to do with these tunes. People would chase, oh, mate, did you check that? I was like, I do like it. Like, give me till the end of the week. Because they were really good. And I didn't want to go, I can't do anything with it. And then they go somewhere else. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? So I remember chatting to Kev one morning and I was like, I've got about 15 demos on my desktop. And I don't know what to do with them, but they're really good. And he was like, well, let's have a play through them. So I played through them. I was like, what's happening with the Cross?
Nice.
And he was like, nothing. Why? I was like, well, is this the Cross? And he was like, it could be. It's like, do you want it to be? And I was like, well, yeah, I think so. And he's like, crack on, have it. He said, it's just been sat there for a year and a half. He said, we haven't had anyone to get hold of it. And said, if that's what you want to do, you want to rebrand it, redo everything, just revamp it, get it going, crack on. And I was like, okay, great. So I spoke to Rob, who's our in-house designer. Love Rob. And said, I've got this idea and want to freshen up the artwork. Obviously the artwork was always the Cross, but it's a little bit more kind of like rigid and a bit, just wanted to like freshen it up a bit and make it a bit more like arty sort of thing. So we kind of I was going through it earlier on my phone. I've literally got hundreds of pack shots on my phone of different ideas. But then also said that, so the label is called The Cross because of the old venue, The Cross, in King's Cross. Yep. And the name came about because everyone was stood on the 9th floor of the Universal building, which overlooks Coles Yard in where Bagley's and The Cross used to be. And everyone was like, oh, what can we call this label? I kind of glanced over and was like, is that where The Cross used to be? And someone was like, oh, The Cross is a good name. So that's where The Cross came from. Amazing. So as a little bit of a nod to that, on the bottom of every pack shot, there's 3 arches with The Cross records. And the 3 arches there, as like a sub logo, is a nod to the 3 arches of the Cross.
Oh, beautiful!
So that was just
eggs.
There you go. Yeah. So that was why I kind of wanted that as like a little bit of a nod to the kind of history and that's kind of the ethos of the label. Really, is that feel good, like I wouldn't say euphoric because it sounds a bit cheesy, but that feel good house music factor. You know, nothing too serious, nothing too. Let's just have fun again, do you know what I mean? And not take it too seriously. And that's kind of been the ethos of the label and the musical direction. But the rebrand took a few months. So that job that I got handed was kind of my own fault, really. So when you want it, you crack on, you can run it. Like, shit. But I love it. It's brilliant. Amazing. It's really nice.
Do you feel like, obviously, being in a new label, and obviously because of the size of Club Class and its affiliation to Ireland and Universal, is your process of A&R, what you're looking for, who you're looking for, has that differed substantially since from Toolroom?
Has it differed? It hasn't differed. There are differences. The schedule, for example, is not as kind of pressured, where there was like a weekly schedule previously. There was a lot. Whereas now we let releases breathe. Could be 2 a month, could be 1 every 3 weeks. It could be...
Yeah. Funny enough, sorry to jump in, but actually this was... part of the conversation, Andy and I, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned it, but obviously Andy McDougall, big friends of
Who
both of us.
doesn't love Andy McDougall?
Actually, the gentleman who introduced us.
It actually was, yes.
Connected us.
It was, yes.
What he was saying with his label, obviously, because he's doing a lot of self-releasing.
Yes.
Is that he found when he was trying to release on, let's say, more sort of kind of well-known independents, is that they had... Because obviously they've got to keep up the streams, they've got to keep up the, attention.
Yeah.
They are release. And
Quite
actually, and I
relentless.
know, funny enough, we were chatting about this in the pub before we come here today, was about sometimes, if you don't give the track chance for people to get, and you're not continue to push it for a period of time, it can just get lost in the ether a little bit.
It's difficult. It is difficult. Certainly when... I had a chat with a radio plugger today and I was saying the same thing to her. It's kind of nice to have a bit of... Certainly when you're kind of pitching to DSPs, you're pitching to specialist radio, if you're doing that every week, it does become... Certainly when you come back after Christmas and they've got a 3-week backlog and you're like, this is out Friday, and then 2 days later on the Monday, you're like, I know you didn't play that one last week because you didn't have room, but now I've got this one as well. And it's like, oh God, and you're doing the same to the stores and you're like, can you support this? Can you support this? Can you support this? It's like, oh,
you
Jesus.
Become a
It's
bit
like,
annoyed
it's a little bit much, and I get it because you want consistency and that is important. And for some labels, obviously the music is the bread and butter of the business, which obviously in other businesses it isn't. So you can relax a bit, release as and when something comes in that you think, this is strong enough to put out, let's do it. There's no gun to any head saying, right, you've got to release this every week or anything else. So it does become difficult, and you call that like self-cannibalization, where you're kind of, you're attacking yourself every week.
Absolutely.
I think if you can schedule it smartly, where the genres are kind of split, and you're doing a radio record this week and you're going to put a club thumper out the following week, and you're pitching to different people, and you might not send that to that person because they're not going to play it. But it's really hard to do that because you've got writers, you've got vocalists, you've got producers, you've got DJs. All of them people have all got to be available on that day. And there's always someone that goes, can't do that week, can we do the week after? And you're like, oh shit. And it's then you have to get rid of it all, start again. So it sounds a lot easier than it is to get everyone's dates like joined up, and it's tricky.
So like looking at obviously being at the Cross and obviously Club Class now, then how do you think it's do you think it's giving you any advantages over trying to get more high profile guests? Obviously you're linked to Ireland and everyone as well, right?
Yeah, that's been probably the biggest difference, I would say. The biggest change for me is obviously James and Medusa, obviously huge global acts, which instantly gives you...
I was going to say, having them on the roster day
gives you
one
strength. Gives you strength in the room, it does. And when it comes to negotiating for records and stuff, it does give you... As I say, we get so many pitches. I've never known... must get 10, 15 pitches a day. I've got this from publishers, from vocalists, and or rather producer saying, I've done this, I think it's massive. Does someone want to jump on it? And that was kind of one of the big... kind of deal clinchers for me when I was kind of deciding if I was going to take the jump or not, because it's just a level. Everything's a level up, and that's no disrespect to Toolroom. It is just a level up with a major label infrastructure and
Universal at the top.
And that's kind of the deal with the Cross. The whole thing with the Cross, how it started was James Hype Ferrari went out on the Cross, and they were like, we're not known for our dance music, but you guys, like, we signed James and Medusa for their crossover stuff on Ireland, but you just proved in 2 weeks. And it's on like, Ferrari's on like 900 million streams now. It's going to hit 1 billion streams this year. And it only came out in 2020, late 21, I think it was. And they were like, you guys know your stuff. So that's the kind of infrastructure of the label that I've got with the Cross. So that's why the stuff I do sign to the Cross, be it slightly more clubby or slightly more radio friendly, there is an element of, and I don't like the word commerciality, but accessibility, where be it a hook, be it a disco sample, but whatever it is, there's there's a hook, there's something in that record that again sticks in your head, and you're like, love that record, that vocal's wicked, or that synth line's great, or this disco sample's really cool, or it can range, as I say, from more kind of radio friendly stuff right through to the clubbier stuff. But that first 6 months was certainly us finding our feet musically. What's too cool, what's too commercial, what works, what doesn't. But the Island thing is great. So James and Medusa, as I say, are both signed in for their more crossover radio stuff with Island. And there's a wicked team over there. Callum's head of A&R there, who's amazing, and Max and Nicola, and the whole team over there, and we have a call every Monday to review performance on records that are currently in campaign and discussing records that are forthcoming and what's working here, what's working there. James Waterfalls went top 20 in Germany before Christmas. It's I think it's still number 18 in the German charts, and it's gone gold in Germany. It's gone silver in the UK already, and it only came out in August. So it's things like that are just, and it's all learning, and I'm still learning. Like every week, I'm picking up new stuff about different platforms that I wasn't aware of, and how different platforms lead into each other, and there might be social media platforms that lead into a DSP, and there's correlation between this platform and that platform, and if you get a spike here, then that's going to result in more streams over there, and and it's geeky, but I love it, and it's like stuff that was just never on my radar, really. And that was, again, as I say, that was part of the reason for me doing that jump, was to work with those guys and just progress and develop as a person and as in my career. I'm getting to that stage where I need to keep pushing on, and I don't just want to plod and plateau, and I want that fire in the belly, which I've got again, which has been amazing.
Amazing. So. Well, how have you had to change then, and how have you had to adapt? Obviously, whether it be your musical taste, your ears, what you were just saying there, what you're looking out for and what you're listening to, from the sounds of it, has differed a little bit from what you was doing at Toolroom.
Yeah.
How's it been adapting to that? Obviously, after 13 years, having this is what I'm looking for. Yeah.
And that was one of the concerns, because as much as James's stuff James does play a lot of Toolroom records, as does Tita, as does a lot of the roster. But certainly with the Eterna stuff, it was different. I was more concerned that how can I go into here and use what I would call my A&R skills into a style of music that I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily au fait with. Not that I don't like it, I love it. It's great, and it's just very different.
Of course.
But you do adapt, and the more you're around it, and I met the guys loads, went to Milan, literally I've been there for a month, went and sat in the studio with them for the day and played through forthcoming stuff, and they were playing me stuff they was on the hard drive that they were finishing off, and you just get into it, and the same as anything, you just adapt and you develop and you adapt your skill set. And I think that was the only one, not the only one thing, but that was one thing that I was a bit like, am I going to be able to do that? I was not doubting myself, but I thought that's going to be quite difficult to do that. But it was actually a lot easier than I thought, because arrangement and stuff is arrangement. If you're listening to a record and you get to a point where you're like, I'm a bit bored of that sound now, that needs to go. It doesn't matter what sound it is or how fast it is or slow it is, or if it's melodic or tech house, whatever it is, you'll be like, got to that point, I reckon let's drop the synth there, let's go to the break early or whatever. So you just adapt, and it's an adaptable skill, which I now know. I didn't know that at the time. Luckily, I'll be down in Waitrose serving you beers later or something on the way out.
Well, we've already got mates. We're on the podcast today,
That's
mate.
It, yeah, we're all right.
So obviously working then with bigger artists, and obviously we spoke about the musical change, but actually even just who you're dealing with has changed. I look at James Hype, we've only got to go on social media for 2 minutes to see how much he's blowing up, and I've got no hesitation in saying that directly influences, the things like streams and stuff. But actually from working with their tracks, whether it's giving feedback, whether it's managing them, obviously through Club Class, etc., how have you, once again, what are the challenges you face having to do with bigger artists?
Time.
Yeah, okay.
From their side. Time differences, touring, and it does make an impact. I mean, James is like unhuman, like he's insane.
Oh, really?
He's insane. Just his work ethic, and
he looks like a bundle of energy.
Mate, it's insane. It is insane, but he absolutely loves it. Otherwise, he doesn't do it. But just his schedule, I'd say that is the most tricky thing with the boys and with James. Is just the crippling touring schedule, and it's not their fault that things get delayed, because they're on time differences, and they're in cars, and they're in planes, and they're in hotels, and they're at gigs, and they're sound checking, and so when you're like, can you do me some liners for so, they're like, and they go onto the management group, and they're like, Jesus Christ, can you post this at 4 p.m, and can you give me these liners for this station, and we set up a Zoom for this interview here, and it's like, and they must open the WhatsApp in the morning, fucking hell, leave me alone, please. But you get to that level, and now, being a good DJ and just making good tunes is not enough. There's so many levers that you need to pull in a career to stay relevant and to sustain that level of profile and to stay at the top of your game. You can't just rest on your laurels and think, I've made it, because someone else will be there in 6 months' time who will overtake you. And so all the things that might seem little and probably annoying to people is actually really important, and you need to keep on top of it. And but bless them, they're just on the road constantly travelling, as I say, time differences and sound checking and rehearsing. Obviously Medusa doing the live show now. They're just coming into the European leg of that. They're in London on the 27th of Feb, I think it is, at Magazine.
Amazing.
But it's like a 3-piece live show. Simon's on the piano, he's like classically trained. Matt's DJing in between. Luca's on synths and effects and stuff. Amazing. And they Matt will play a few, not to give it away, obviously you come and see it. But Matt, it's still heads down, it's still a club experience. Yeah. Obviously we do we're doing every Wednesday.
Amazing.
This year for 19 weeks from May to September. But Matt will come on and he'll play a few tunes, but then the hits like, Piece of Your Heart and the Becky Hill record and stuff is all done live.
Yep.
And there's a camera on stage, you can see exactly what they're doing. And it's
really
all
cool.
And it's a real, again, goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's a real moment, and the lights come up and it's all everyone just sings along, and it's this is great. And then it's heads down again, it gets dark, it's here we go again.
Yeah.
And then another, but they've over the summer they had Becky Hill come out and sung live, and
that's amazing.
Hayla was there, and had the Good Boys come out and do Piece of Your Heart, and it's like a concert, it's fucking brilliant. It's amazing. So there's a lot goes into that, a lot of rehearsal, and they're lugging that equipment, they're touring that grand piano everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a lot of work. So that's probably the biggest challenge. Is just there. It's more for them is finding time to do the little bits that we're nagging them about every day. They're probably like, piss off, leave me alone. I'm trying to write a tune, or I'm sound checking, or I'm doing whatever. But that's the biggest thing. Time and the touring is and it does eat into the productivity of getting records finished. And but it's the nature of the beast, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But they're all absolutely flying, and they do a good job of balancing it. So
fair.
Rather them than me, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm on the easy side.
Yeah. Why is that?
What's that?
Why are you on the easy side?
No, as in I just ask for stuff. They're the ones. They're the ones that have to do it. Exactly, and they just have to do it when they get time. But yeah, that's probably the biggest kind of obstacle, hurdle, tricky part is the.
So you've had a great start with the Cross. Relaunching it after 18-month, 2-year hiatus. Launched with James Hype and Medusa. You've got phenomenal traction. You're going places. What's your goal? What are your plans for the
Cross?
Time? Yeah.
With the Cross, I mean, it was never going to be an overnight thing. Obviously, they only had. I mean, James Hype Ferrari was the first release, but they only had 3 or 4 records after that. That never quite, obviously, I mean, talk about set the bar high, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No pressure. Yeah. Come on, boys, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you sign a Ferrari every week, we'd be laughing. But
it's a bit of a thing. You've actually really addressed a real point, right? Everyone, you're only as good as your last hit. And obviously, if you're coming out the gates with this phenomenal track, how do you keep that momentum?
It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And that's why I think it's more of an infrastructure thing within the company, that they didn't have anyone to really come in and actually get, and no one predicted that Ferrari would catch fire like it did. And it just went bananas. And they had a few releases after, but as I say, there was no one really, that everyone was just so thinly spread in there. No one really had the time to, which is why I stupidly volunteered. No, I say that, I don't mean that. I absolutely love it. But so the long term, I think this year is going to be a real step up. I'm scheduled up till May already.
Amazing.
Which is really good for my OCD.
Yeah.
Slightly less panicked. We've had one release out. The Bag Raiders came out last week. That's flying. That's done 100k streams week 1. 2 Danny Hour plays, Aerial Free Play. Kiss Dance, Capital Dance. It's done all the UK boxes, and the guys from Australia, so it's had loads of love on Triple J and Kiss over in Australia. 100,000 streams week 1, which is good. Phenomenal. It's a club track essentially as well. So really happy with that. The long term goal is to I want to get one. I want to get one that goes. I want a Ferrari in my life.
Fair.
Not just. Not actually a Ferrari. But that's the goal. I mean, this year is going to be levelling up. I mean, I've got some, hopefully I can say these names, but I've got an Alan Fitzpatrick record that's massive. I've got an Ilias record that's huge, that everyone was hammering last year, and it's taken me 7 months to clear the sample. But I cleared that this week. and Coxie's been playing it for 6 months, and I must have about 30 live play videos of everyone playing it, and so that's coming around Miami, 20th of March. That one's due. I've got an Icarus record, which, as a fanboy for Icarus for about the last 10 years, I had a Zoom call with him a couple of weeks ago for the first time. I was like, "Hello, boys, oh, I'm a big fan." I had to get that out of the way quickly, kind of thing. I've just signed a wicked female artist from Glasgow called Beth. Had a meeting with her today. Signed her into like more of a kind of an artist deal. It's a bit more of a longer project, but she's cool as fuck. She's a wicked DJ, like proper selector, really cool. She's actually doing, I can say all this because this will go out later. She's doing a Sarah Story Peak Time mix tonight, so I just met her and Ilias for lunch today and chatting about releases and stuff. So I got a release from her on the 20th of Feb, which is really cool, bit more of a housey thing, like a jack-in vocal housing, which is really cool. But we're going to work really closely with Beth. She's awesome.
That's amazing. Really
good. I've got TCTS record that's really cool. Charlie Powell's done a really cool garagey thing called Aggie Organ, which is the best title I've ever signed, I think. So there's loads of stuff coming. Varied sounds as well. It's not just kind of the one...
Of course.
The one-way street kind of thing. It all varies from sort of houseier bits to a few kind of garagey bits to, it's a nice spread. But the ultimate goal, I think, this year will be, again, levelling up, increasing kind of profile and streams and awareness of what we're doing and the artists that we're working with, increase the profile of the artists we're working with, which we've kind of done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly for the first half of the year, and hopefully off the back of that first half, that will then attract more for the second half of the year.
Domino effect, right? Yeah.
That's the hope, yeah. And then year 3, I'm hoping. Well, I mean, I'd like a record to go this year if we can, but I think we just need to take our time and let it build slowly and naturally, and not try to force it too quickly.
Does having Club Class, like, as the management company above, do you think that is a big benefit to the traction release? Like you signed about Beth, for example.
Yes.
You signed her under Club Class to actually manage her? Or?
No, we're not managing her. No, it's just on a recording contracts. It's just on a music kind of tip. But I kind of was aware of her before she was sending us music. Fair. And then Ilias sent me through and was like, I've got this tune from Beth. And I was like, this is wicked. So I started doing a bit of digging, and there's like this kind of boiler room thing on her Instagram where she's just playing these really cool records, and she just looks really cool and natural, and she's a great DJ. She's making her own music, and she's just got a really cool look to her. And I met her, and she's just a really nice girl, and I was just excited, but I thought she's great. And we are, as a label, I think as an industry, crying out for strong female acts as well, and it's something that is lacking.
Yeah.
I spoke to Ariel earlier this week because she put up a really good post on her Instagram just saying that she'd been away for like 3 weeks over Christmas. She come back, she had 124 demos in her track stack, and 3 of them were from females, and she was like, we're giving the A&Rs and the labels a hard time saying, why is it not 50-50? And she's like, well, if they're not getting the music, they can't sign it. Kind of like, how do we address this? And I did speak to her, I've got to call her properly, but I did speak to her briefly yesterday on email about it, and I was like, it's such a good post, and it's such a good way of raising awareness that is a thing. And Beth just fits perfectly for us. She's just musically and kind of the kind of events that she's playing and the style of music that she's making, and she's just one of us. She's really down to earth, easy to work with, super talented, and I was just really excited by her. I just thought she just represents us as a label and as a brand perfectly, and so she's going to come in and we're going to kind of build together over the next sort of 18 months, 2 years.
Super exciting.
Try and do like 3 singles a year and really really push her on, which is exciting. So yeah, we've got loads of good stuff coming up, so
exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, talking about super exciting stuff, right? And obviously, I know we've spoken a lot about tracks, and unless there's anything else you want to talk about specifically about the Cross, I do have a few things that I want to talk about you now, mate.
Oh God, go on.
And that is, look, one of the things that I love about interviewing people, friends that I know and have known for some years, is you learn so much about them that you did not know.
Where's this going?
Brother,
have you just found out I was on Crime Watch in 1996? I didn't do it, all right?
For what it's worth, I actually was one year.
Was you actually?
Yeah, I was in the background. Walking into
you was just an extra.
Mate, I was walking in the Litton Tree in Dartford Town Centre, and they were doing a whole piece on drugs, and basically had the camera basically showing me and my mates. But no, so look, we haven't really, we've kind of touched base on it a little bit today, because I really wanted to do its own segment. But you are a formidable producer. like a lot of your tracks, like Get Down and stuff, I've smashed out in my own sets.
Yeah.
And to bring back to the reason why I mentioned why I love doing research on friends, you were named Producer of the Year by Cole Cox a few years ago.
I was, yeah.
Was, for me, when I read that, I was like, fucking fair play, man.
Yeah.
What an awesome thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
How did that come about? What was the track?
So that was in, I think there was two interviews that went out. I mean, I used to buy Mix Mag, DJ Mag, and M8 magazine like religiously.
Got Cole Loban coming on soon.
Have you really?
Big
up the Loban. Yeah. You might get a few free copies, get a free subscription. So there was a period of time when me and Ali we come out of the hard house stuff. And we started doing this like really like funky, like tribal techno sort of stuff. Still quite pacey, like energy. But really tribal, funky. That's when Coxie was at Space, had his Space residency. And we just would just send him music and he would just come back and be like, "Yeah, this is wicked, going to play." It was like, "All right, sweet, nice one." So we went to see him. He played at Heaven in London. I saw him at the Source Bar randomly in Maidstone, chatted to him. And he's always been one of them approachable guys, Coxie. You can just chat to him and just salt of the earth. Like, what a legend.
Love him.
Just without, the best to do it. And he's still rocking it. What is he, nearly 60, I think now? And he's still just like, oh yes. And he's what a ledge. Yeah. So he was playing a lot of our music at the time. And I remember, I didn't know anything about it, but I bought M8 magazine. I was like, "Oh, Coxie's got an interview in here." And there was a little, it's actually on my wall now. I managed to find it. I found the magazine, bought it, and I clipped it, and I got it in a little glass clip frame in my hallway. That's staying with me till my final days, that is. And it just says, what's the question? Producers to look out for right now or something. And it was like Ali Wilson and Matt Smallwood, London. I know it word for word. Is that really sad?
Not at all.
two London lads who keep coming up with the goods, real funky tech tracks with massive energy. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then when they did the DJ Mag Top 100 in the same year, and you get asked best venue, best gig and all that, and I was like, Producer of the Year, it was like Ali Wilson, Matt Smallwood, and I was like, whoa. I think it was 2014, because that was the year that I did my Good Life remix. Yep.
Well, was it that track that got number 3 in Beatport?
It got to number 3, I was more annoyed. It didn't get to number 1. I should have...
I'd keep fair, but still, brother.
I was really happy with it. But the one thing I'm pissed off about is the fact I sent it to Coxie, and obviously we were chatting quite a bit at that time. See, musically, we were just aligned at that point. Stuff he was playing, we were making, and it was just like, anything you make, send it to me. He'd get it first, so we had to play it for anyone else. It was just like a bit of a thing for a couple of years. And I sent him my Good Life remix. I just did as like a bootleg. So I did it with Andy.
Yeah.
Big up, Dougal.
We love you, Andy.
Love you, Andy.
We love you, brother.
And I just did it as a bootleg just for my sets and stuff with Andy, and I was like, I love this tune, but I want to do like a tougher version that I can play in my sets. And so we did it, sent it to Coxie, and he came back a couple of days later just saying, "Hi, Matt, thanks for this. Wow, this is going to be my space anthem for the year. This is the best version of this record I've heard," and blah, blah. And he finished the email with, oh yes, with a smiley face. And do you know why I'm pissed off? Because I didn't send it to my personal email. It was my work email. And I didn't save the email off. And through just over the years, I just bulk delete old emails and stuff, and I deleted it. So if you're out there, Carl, and you're watching this, can you...
Yeah, Mr. Cox, send it to us.
Go to your sent items, go back to February 2014. Sorry, this one. February 2014. If you still got it, can you resend it to me?
I love it.
Hopefully he hasn't deleted any emails in 12 years. We'll be all right.
But you never know, right?
You never know. But yeah, no, it was, Coxie was always a big supporter. And
I love that, man. And what a name to have supported.
Yeah.
Like, literally one of the biggest superstars in the scene. Absolutely.
I know, obviously, big shout out to Ali as well, Wilson, because he was the one who was kind of engineering and making everything.
Personal friend, fucking love the boy. Top lads.
He was very much kind of on the digits and stuff on those tracks. So I just brought the funk and the ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just sit there and swing the hips.
What do you think was the bigger impact on the other thing? Your A&R and your producing A&R.
That's a good question. Well, the producing came first. So I guess they kind of went hand in hand, because when I A&R records, certainly if I'm A&R in a club track, in my mind, I'll be like, if I was playing this in a set,
fair, yeah, of course.
when it comes to arrangement, is the intro long enough? Is the breakdown too short? Is whatever? And I will put myself in a DJing situation, and so that kind of plays into that, I suppose.
As long as you've got 32 bar intro and drops on the 32, 37.
As long as it's all in 4s and 8s, it's all right.
Yeah.
Start throwing 3s and 5s in there. We're gonna have a problem.
Oh, my OCD, mate.
My OCD won't allow that. No.
Trance and garage, fuck that.
All over the place. But I guess they kind of, as I say, producing definitely came first, because obviously I was producing from, what was I, 21, I think, when I got Logic, and I bought myself an iMac and just threw myself into that. I was 21, 22, I think. So 21. And obviously didn't really start in the A&R until when I was at Toolroom, which came, sort of 10 years later. So...
So you're obviously going through all the demos and the tracks, and I'm not suggesting plagiarism, but
but I feel like there's a but coming.
No, not but. It's more a case of, did you learn a lot from listening to other people's tracks? And actually, it doesn't even necessarily need to be A&R. Just listening to music in general, trying to learn and sort of kind of take what other people have done and sort of put that into your own production. Yeah,
I think naturally, the more you're around music, the more you're going to pick up. I don't think you necessarily willingly kind of copy anything.
I'd want to be clear. I meant as in, like, I don't know, the arrangement and things like that, and various things.
Yeah, and I think being a DJ as well obviously plays into that, because when you're playing out every weekend, and
of course,
you know what's working and what isn't, and
absolutely.
If a build-up's too short or too long, and you're like, oh God, I'm getting bored here, that should be shorter. But once Ableton became a thing, I would always make my own edits and my own intros, and
amazing.
That's kind of how I cut my teeth in Ableton, by making edits of other tracks. And I'd be making bootlegs on the train on the way to a gig. I'd take like a Duke Dumont record and layer it over something, and chop the breakdown out and just play it on the night. And so you make your own arrangements and stuff of records, because it was so easy to do. You literally just cut and paste and bounce and make it work for your set, or speed it up or slow it down, or whatever you want to do. So yeah.
So obviously, I've just raised what for me would be a phenomenal achievement. Being on the roster of, or should I say, on the track list of Cole Cox's sets, having him giving all that sort of kind of praise and everything, and all that support. But is there a track for you that you made which was like, that was my favourite, or that one really stood out even in just the actual production phase of it? Is there anything that really stands out to you for that?
I mean, the Good Life thing was personal for me, because I did it myself.
Fair.
As in, it was my own release kind of thing. So that was, because I always produced with Ali, so it was always like a duo kind of thing. But there was a time, as I say, once I kind of got my head into Logic and did my own thing, that was nice when I could branch out and do my own stuff, just to do something for my personal kind of growth and stuff.
Of course.
So Good Life was definitely a big one. Perfect Summer was a big one that I did with Ali and Tristan Ingram. Big up T-Dog. And that was signed to Toolroom before I started at Toolroom. That was 2009.
Amazing.
That was signed, yeah. So that was
full circle moment.
Yeah,
right
it was
there.
a proper
That's
360.
cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. To be fair, that was a real, because it wasn't. We randomly sent it into a Pete Tong competition on Radio 1. Can't remember what the section was called, but we won it.
Yeah.
But we were so convinced we weren't going to win it that no one checked their emails, and Tongy's team had emailed us saying, like, you've won this week, can you send us some liners and a bit of info about you? And no one got back to him, but he still played it. It was like, oh, this, and I've still got the audio somewhere. So funny. He said this week's winner of whatever the section was called is Wilson, Smallwood and Ingram. They sound like a funeral. No, they sound like an undertaker's or something. They sound like a funeral director's or something. And we would tell you about more info about them, but they never replied to the email. So I was like, oh my God. I don't know whose email it went to, but yeah, one of us fucked up there.
So you're not
really,
taking credit for that then?
I'm definitely not taking credit for that one, no. But that was obviously quite a big kind of, and again, that was quite early on, it was like 2009, so that was way before the Good Life thing. Yeah, I loved all the records I made, really, all the hard stuff back in the day. 2004, we signed to Nucleus with Let the Games Begin. What an apt title for a first track.
Yeah.
And they did indeed begin, the games.
Absolutely,
and that kind of really sort of catapulted us really into, obviously in that kind of area, doing the hard house stuff. We was releasing on Tidy and Vicious Circle, and
that's fucking cool, man.
And then when I got a bit further on doing my own stuff, I was remixing for Steve Thomas, who was like my absolute hero. He would always play before DeVee at Trade. And he would always play this really cool, just mad techno, not hard techno, but just really funky stuff. That he was like the top A&R at Pure Groove Records, so he'd always get all these imports and getting all this really cool techno from like Holland and Belgium that no one else had.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would just stand in the booth and just watch him and be like, fucking hell. And then I got to be resident with him at Trinity and stuff, which was another sort of 360 moment. But yeah, certainly Good Life. In recent years, probably the Bits and Pieces remix I did, because obviously, again, I just did that as a bit of a bootleg for a bit of fun, really, just playing my sets. And obviously, Armatesia was the original back in the day. Again, Tony used to hammer that record. I used to play the original at the Channel and stuff as well, so I always loved the riff. And I just did it just for a bit of fun. And again, just sent it out. I think it was Don Bresky was the first person to play it, and he played like EDC Orlando or something, and sent me text me a video on Monday morning. And I was like, "Fucking hell,
that's amazing."
He was like, "Hey, bro, this is like sick," and I was like, "Fucking hell." Sent it to Mark, and he's like, "This is really good." Like, and Mark started playing it, and then I found out that Armada owned the rights to it, and obviously we knew the Armada guys really well from previous deals and stuff that we did with them, and. I spoke to Phil, the A&R over there, and he's like, "Well, let's do it as a remix." Like,
amazing.
So I got to speak to Patrick Prinz, who was the guy behind the original, and that opened other doors for more music. And I remember I was taking my mum to an appointment one morning somewhere, and it was on a Friday, and Aerial 3 was on the radio, and she just played it on Radio 1. At like 9:10 in the morning, I was sat in the car with my mum, and then she started telling me off because I was trying to like record it on my phone. She's like, "Both hands on the wheel, Matthew." I was like, "But it's Aerial 3, Mum."
This is me.
I've got to get it on the gram. So that was quite a nice moment. But yeah, that's probably the one more recently, I think. I mean, Ali did a remix on Untidy of an old classic record that we loved, Welcome Committee, that came out on Tony DeVee's Jump Wax label. We did a remix of that a few years ago. That was, I mean, it's also not few and far between, but I kind of choose what we do these days. So there's always a reason why we do something now, rather than just producing. And because I'm not in that rat race anymore, I've kind of been there and done that and got the T-shirt and taken it back and traded it for a pair of slippers. You know what I mean? Which was great, but now I'm on the other side and on the other side of the desk, and I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very happy about that.
And I don't know whether this is, because obviously, look, you've, and I mean this in a nice way, you've got a very amazing advantage because of the network you've built up, because of your A&R and in-label career.
Yeah.
So, asking you a question about how production, producing tracks and submitting demos and getting yourself sort of kind of heard and getting attention to stuff, asking you how that's changed over the decades, etc., whilst you've been in the industry. Maybe you can answer from an A&R perspective, but trying to put yourself in the producer's shoes. How do you think it has changed from when you were releasing at 21 to now releasing at 21 plus a few years?
Plus a very few years now. I mean, it's completely different, isn't it? I mean, it's the whole digital digital era. There was no internet. It was all very hand to mouth, literally like with a Bic pen writing your name and your number on the tape and stuff. Obviously, social media changed the game really massively, I would say. So now numbers and stats and stuff have become more important. I mean, back in the day, I sound like I'm on Dad's arm. During the war. I guess I am. But back then it was completely different. I mean, a promoter would get a tape through the post, and apart from your name and number and know what parties you played in the last 6 months, he wouldn't know anything else about you, kind of thing. And the important thing was, your tune selection, your mixing, and how you was as a person, and whether they'd put you on and give you a go. And now it has completely changed that. But I think because I'm of an older mindset and I've come through that kind of system, I still believe in them original values of good music is good music, regardless of who's produced it. And if they come with big numbers, or they've got good social media following, or they've got 1 million followers on Spotify, brilliant. That's a massive bonus. But I'm not going to sign the record because there's nothing there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good music is, what I'm trying to say is, writing good records is still the priority, because other things can happen around that.
I think, a follow-up question really to that is, and from the sounds of it, you do look at it still from your eyes of, or ears, should I say, of, that is a good tune. Yeah. The rest of it is just a bonus. But looking at sort of kind of other labels, and I appreciate, they might be run very differently, might be different music. How do you think the concept of social media and the, let's say, the want for followers and a following or some sort of, audience for a label to release, do you think that's changed the talent pool? Do you think it's changed the, maybe to rephrase the question, are there people getting their music out that shouldn't because they've got good following, and are there people not getting the music out when they should because they haven't? Oof. I know that's a deep question.
That is quite a deep question.
But it's just one of those things, right? It's like everything now, you hear so much about influencers, and I'm very conscious of how I put this, right? I've been very fortunate to get some gigs just because of mates I know and network and things like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of talk at the minute about that person shouldn't have got that. It's only because they've got followers. And I'm just curious to see how true that is.
The short answer would probably be yes, to a certain extent. Certainly not from where we are, but then you have to...
Well, that's good to know, good to hear.
But you have to appreciate that technology has made music producing a lot easier now.
Yeah, of course.
And someone can download Ableton or Fruity Loops or Cubase or whatever they want to use and buy some sample packs. And I remember I got verbally abused on Twitter once, got outed on Twitter because someone had bought a Toolroom sample pack and used every single sound in the track was from the Toolroom sample pack, sent it to me, and I was like, just sounds like it's lacking a bit of something. So rather than replying, they atted me on Twitter and said, sent Matt Smallwood a demo for Toolroom. Apparently it was lacking something, even though every single sound was from a Toolroom sample pack.
That's your issue.
And I replied, and I was like, well, maybe a lack of creativity is the issue here, that's not what they're there for.
Just because you've got samples, mate, doesn't make it a good track.
That's not what they're there for. They're there to use, but don't... And people kind of thought that if they just littered it with Toolroom samples that we would sign it. So you got to take that into consideration as well, that, technology and the like with your splices and your sample packs,
of course,
and your drag and drop kind of era. That is a lot, I don't want to use the word easier because it's never easy, but it's a lot simpler than it was to when you had all that board stuff and MIDI keyboards and samplers and stuff where you had to really kind of graft, and that's very different now.
I certainly don't want to get into this because, let's be honest, it's the hot topic for everyone, and I don't think we need to discuss it today. But you've even got AI now, right? Like
you have, yes,
banging out tunes left, right, and centre. And it's just like it's making it very difficult. Like,
it is.
I know, was it 140,000 tracks a week on Spotify?
Is that what it is?
Something stupid like that.
That sounds about right. I mean, the AI thing is, it's kind of. I think the main issue is when people are putting in prompts asking for vocals in particular to sound like another person.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's completely unethical, and that's not the right way of doing things. I think if people are using AI in the box as a bit of a creative tool, if they're playing synth lines or they're playing this or they're writing lyrics and they're missing something, and AI is a bit like it's kind of almost like a second pair of ears going, why don't you put that in there? Why don't you try this? Or why don't you try that? And it's like, fucking hell, that's not a bad idea. I'll go and do that and I'll replay it. I think if you're using it as a tool, I'll probably get shot down for this. I don't think it's a massive issue. If you're sitting in there going, oh, give me a Snoop Dogg vocal, then
that's fair.
What are you doing? Like, no way. But yeah, if it's used in the right way and it's on the right site, that is an ethical AI site that isn't just dredging the internet of all the audio that's ever been uploaded, and you're using it creatively, and dare I say it, not using what AI spits out, you're using what AI is informing you, and you're recreating that, but you're taking what it's giving you and going, okay, well, that's not a bad idea. Well, if I do that, maybe that would, actually, that sounds quite good. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, right, if I do that
use
there.
Use it to assist rather than to do.
Use it as an assistant rather than like a final thing.
Yeah.
It's just like having a vocoder or a bloody reverb or whatever that you open up. It's going to enhancing the sounds that you've already got there that you've written and you've created.
Absolutely.
That's my personal opinion. We probably have to cut that.
No, I think you nailed it, mate. So I'll tell you what then. Like the last bit on the last sort of kind of question on this area. Giving advice to aspiring producers out there from both a DJ and a producer, and a career A&R veteran in the game, who's not only helped build one of the most respected and popular house music labels, to now relaunching The Cross, working with Island and Universal. What's your advice for producers, whether it be how to submit a demo, whether it's when to submit a demo, whatever it might be? I'm trying to keep this broad to give you the space here, or not to try and trip you up, I promise. But what would your advice be for anyone that's trying to get their music out there?
Whew, where does one begin with that? It's quite an open-ended question there, Ben.
Very
it's quite
much,
a big one.
Mate, you're welcome.
Okay, so let's break that down. So in terms of delivering demos to begin with, don't get too excited too soon. I used to do it all the time, and I used to hammer Pete at Toolroom with demos like an hour after I'd finished it. Because I was like, this is amazing, Pete, you got to listen to this, mate. I think this is the one. And then 2 days later I listened to it, be like, oh God, sounds terrible. Excuse me, and we're all guilty of it. And I was, and I probably still would be if I was still making music like I was back then. So just sit on stuff, test stuff out. If you've got a set at the weekend, play it. Does it work?
Yeah, fair.
Is this loud enough? Is the arrangement right? Is the breakdown intense enough? Are the pads warm enough that you can feel it when it comes in on the big system? And to always road test stuff. Don't just knee jerk and send stuff out. Really nurture it. Take it back in. Right, this bit didn't quite work. Why didn't that work? Let's change this sound.
Yeah.
Really, and make sure you're putting your best foot forward, because certainly when you're reaching the bigger labels, you only get a couple of opportunities before you kind of...
It's that first impression, right?
Where they will naturally just switch off to getting demos from, X, Y or Z, because, the last 3 or 4 haven't been there. So not that they won't listen to it, but they're like, oh, it's that person again. Yeah. Right, yeah. So I would say put your best foot forward. Delivering demo, don't send 10 demos on one link, or put your best foot forward. And if you're working on 3, 4, 5 tracks, be like, right, what is the one that you think is going to really spark the interest of an A&R, and go, do you know, there's something in that? Because then once you do that, if you get that signed and you build that relationship, you can then send them the other 4 and go, these aren't quite right, but I think there's something in, can you help me? And if the label's going to invest in you and say, I'd really love this record, they're going to be like, actually, this could be the follow-up, but this production isn't right. Why don't you come in and we'll sit in and we'll work through this together, and I think we can get a better vocal, and they'll help you finish those records. So rather than sending all 5 and... it's like, and I hold my hands up to this. If someone sends you a link with 18 demos on, by the time you get to number 6, you're just like, you just go blind, and it's just like, oh, you're trying to listen, and it's just so difficult. So that's what I would recommend in terms of demo submission to begin with. Any other advice? Cliched one, try not to just copy everything else. Try and do something that sets you apart a little bit. Obviously there's trends that come and go, and but try not to get sucked into that so heavily that you just sound like someone else, because there's already someone else doing that. So try and be individual, but obviously you still need to. And another thing I would say, you kind of pick, we used to talk about this in the academy, about picking your kind of label group as to where you sit. Are you in the kind of more underground, cooler kind of hot creations-y zone? Are you in the kind of defected Toolroom-y kind of main thing? And picking your kind of crew and your team, and networking and sending music to those guys and looking at their career. What labels did they release on 3 years ago? Fair. Work at the bottom. Oh, they used to really. Oh, I'll send them a demo. Don't just go straight for your hot creations or your defected or your Toolrooms. Be realistic, set yourself a 3-year target, go right, go to your favourite artist, go to the bottom of their Beatport page and go, right, what's their first release on? Right, that's 7 years ago, that was on that label. I've played a few bits on there, maybe I'll send them some bits, and then work your way up.
It's quite funny how that's so reflexive. So last month I interviewed Dr. George Musgrave. Now he's a music academic and has done the landmark research into musicians' mental health. And we were talking about sort of kind of, if he was giving advice about how did he get to where he's at, how did he steer the pathway for his journey. One of the things he said was actually he found someone who he wanted to be and found their CV. Really? And then when we went, step 1, this is where he went, to step 2. In essence, it's actually very similar.
Yeah.
How did they become big? Who did they start with? What labels?
What were their stepping stones? Yeah.
It's a really, really cool concept, that.
Yeah. It works, and it does work.
When it comes to the last question on this then, and I'm sorry, I know that I said last question a minute ago, but this is definitely the last question on this. How receptive would you be, because this is me really sort of kind of getting a bit out there now, to creative ways of people putting their demo forward? Because obviously, let's be honest, I'm assuming most of them are either, your label works or an email back in the day or whatever it might be. Obviously for you back in the day was tapes in a jiffy pack and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and this is really me shooting from the hip, and it's I haven't got any music, so I'm not going to do this.
How would you? You're going to pull out a pair of headphones and be like,
say somebody like come outside your office with a boombox, like dressed like a clown or whatever. Like that's I'm really shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
Just to be really creative to get your attention. Would something like that work? If the music was good, but are there better ways than the traditional route of just submitting to grab attention with demos?
If the music was good, then yeah.
But if it's not, don't bother.
It's it's a tricky one because there has been some weird. Someone randomly got my mobile number once, and kept ringing. I wouldn't obviously. I'd just, like, if it's, like, leave me a message. I don't know who you are. I'm not going to answer. I eventually answered. Or did he call the office? I can't remember. But someone called me. I was sure it's my mobile. And it was a guy. And he was like, "Oh yeah, my name's so and so. I want to sing some music and da 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 da." I was like, "Where did you get this number from?" "Oh, you don't need to worry about that." But I know you're.
What number, mate?
Yeah, I know you're based in where you're based in. I want to come to the office. I'm going to take you out for lunch, and I'm going to play you these demos. And I was like, "Well, no, that's really not necessary. Like, if you want to send the demos in," but he wouldn't have it. And he was like, "No, I'm coming up tomorrow at lunchtime, and I'm taking you for lunch, and I'm going to play you these." And I was like, honestly. And it got a bit weird. And I was like, right, I'm going to terminate the call now because this is getting a bit weird. If you want to send the demos, here's my email address. Not a problem, not being rude. Appreciate the offer. So that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So get the level of creative.
The idea, but then he pushed it.
The execution was a little bit intense. I mean, I've had like USBs strapped to like bottles of Budweiser sent through the post. Sign that one. I would have done if it was a Corona. Not a fan of Buzz, so I was like, no.
Say no, people, if you're watching.
Goes in the bin, that one. I'm joking. But yeah, we've had all sorts over the years, really. I'm up for hearing music, however they want to deliver it. But
the only reason, the thing that made me think about it is my career is actually in finance, and I'm a salesman for a living. And I remember I was trying to get in the door of a few people, so I found some Chubba Chops, and basically what they were is they were made. It was like a dib dab type thing, but the lolly was the shape of a foot. Right. So I wrote a letter and put the sweet, like this foot sweet, basically, in a thing, and literally on it. Now I've got a foot in the door. I'd love to talk to you about X. So creative ways of trying. And I was wondering if that does actually work in the music.
It does
scene.
work in that it makes a bit of a. Oh, what's that? What's that? And people say, "Oh, let's put it on and let's." I mean, you'll definitely listen to it because you're like, if they've gone to this effort of rather than just sending me a SoundCloud link. And
that guy that asked you to lunch, if he'd been like, "I'd love to take you to lunch. I want to hear your thing," really bubbly, blah blah, and you go, "No." But then he sent the thing. I'd have liked to think you'd give them more attention.
Yeah, right? I need to he's that confident that we're going to love his music. I'm definitely going to listen to this. And I do try to listen to everything. I mean, I can't always go back to everyone.
Of course.
But always, I like to pride myself that I will always listen to everything. And I'll get ribbed in the office because I've always got about 100 tabs open. About 80% at Dropbox and the other 20 are SoundCloud. And I was like, fucking hell, look at your tabs. I'm like, it's just work in progress, leave me alone.
So it's essentially your to-do list.
Organised chaos, Even though I've got quite a bad OCD, everyone's like, how do you get away with that? How do you let yourself get like that? I was like, it's fine.
Just don't tell me about it.
Exactly. I'll just maximise the screen. I can't see them. If I don't move the mouse up there, they don't exist. But yeah, it's literally like a to-do list. But yeah, I mean, it's any delivery of. I mean, I had a guy at ADE called B Lion, and again, I wouldn't have remembered his name, but he bought me a Brazilian football shirt with number 10 with B Lion on the back, and it had a QR code on the arm that when you scanned it, went to his SoundCloud page.
That's fucking brilliant.
How good is that?
That's really clever.
Yeah, that's probably top of the tree, I think.
I'm impressed with that. That
was pretty good, isn't it?
Inventive.
And it's actually a really nice top. I actually wear it now. Trying to pick his name off the. No, I'm joking.
Did you ever do anything with him?
I don't think we signed anything, but I'll still
mate.
speak.
Sorry.
I still,
Good effort,
although
though,
I did do a little social media post and tagged him, and I was like, look, Beeline's done
That's
this.
cool.
Like, you should go and check him out.
Did you change the QR code to like?
To my SoundCloud.
Rick Astley.
Matt Smallwood SoundCloud. Download my Good Life remix here. No, I didn't. But
look, mate, it's been a fucking absolute pleasure speaking to you.
It's been really nice catching up, mate.
I absolutely love you. So the last thing to come on to, unless there's anything else you think we missed. So what is next from Mr. Matt Smallwood?
God, what is
the
next?
Cross, whatever you want to.
What a question. What is next? Well, the Cross, I think I've touched on all the Cross stuff, but... well,
you've got a couple of releases coming out, right? If I'm not mistaken, big releases coming out.
Yeah. Just to tear me up there, Benny.
Plug.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, you should say that. Let me just get to my schedule. We got the Beth release on the 20th of Feb. Keep It Moving, which is really
Amazing.
strong. We've got Alan Fitzpatrick on the 6th of March.
It's out on the 15th, 5 days' time. Go get it.
Bosh, yes.
Boom.
And then we've got Alan Fitzpatrick on the 6th of March, big disco whopper, buzzing with that. The illest Barry Untos record, People's Party, on the 20th of March for Miami. And then we go into April, and there's loads of other stuff coming. So Cross is in a good place. I'm really, really, really happy with it. Really excited. Team are buzzing. So that's really cool. That's all set up and good to go. James has got his next single on Ireland on the 28th of Feb called Be Mine. Follow up to Waterfalls.
Exciting science.
So that's coming. There's another single scheduled for July, I want to say, with James, I think, for the follow-up to that. Mm-hmm. But we're looking at 3 to 4 big singles with James, and then peppering in the club bits in between on Stereo Hype. Potentially a couple of remixes here or there if something comes in. And then Medusa are back with some fucking huge records this year. I've got a collab with Bastille. Fantastic. That we're still working on, that's hopefully going to be a bit of it's like an indie dance crossover type thing. Just like it's got festival season written all over it. It's massive, and that's been a real buzz working on that. So that's really cool. There's a single called Obsessions that's going to be coming on Ireland 6th of March, I believe that's in for.
Amazing, man.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, you know that's perfect, right?
I do, yeah. I'm trying to pretend I don't live in that schedule every day. It's like,
you know the tabs open in your head
like
right now.
Ingrained in my brain, yeah. I think it's the 6th of March. I know it's definitely the 6th of March. And they're set on loads of good music as well. Good balance of kind of crossover stuff with club stuff as well.
Amazing. We
just signed Lever K, who's just had his first release on Defected today. We've got him in Crosstown Rebels as well in a couple of months. He's doing a track with the Camels at the minute, remix on Sondela. We've got Genesee on the books as well. He's got a collab with Adam Bayer dropping on Drum Code next month. He's doing Coachella in April, first year at Coachella. Obviously Miami. He's just had a release on Eli Brown's Arcane EP. So he's flying. Tita is flying as well. I've just signed her a single to Toolroom that she's done with James Herr. Big kind of clubby thing. That's really cool. And she's got Biggie coming on Stereo Hype on the 20th of March as well from Miami.
Amazing.
Called Freak, which is really cool. Big club thing again, like remake of an old track. Won't say what.
Watch this space, people. Watch this space.
But there's loads of stuff coming. Really, really exciting time. And obviously we've got Ibiza as well. We're doing Wednesdays at High from 27th of May till the 20th of September.
Getting out there yourself?
I will be out there. We go out there as a team for the opening and closing. We go out as like a bit of a team thing for 3 or 4 days.
What do you prefer, opening or close?
Good question. Opening is warmer and I'm less hungover. Closing, by the time you get to closing, you're like dragging yourself over the fields. That someone from the office is there every week. We did 16 weeks last year on the Monday, but we've upped it to 19 this year on the Wednesday.
Amazing.
So there's going to be an extra few dates in there, but it's great because obviously you get to see the guys and see the team, and it's just nice to have someone there from the company to represent and make sure all the clients are looked after and no one's drinking their rider. It's me. Like, no, I don't know where that's gone. I'll get another one. It's all right.
Just carrying a straw around.
Finish that. But no, it's brilliant. I mean, High is such a fucking amazing venue. James will be doing his Sync show, which is mental if you can get over and see it live this summer. And obviously Medusa are doing the hybrid live show as well, which has really come on from last year. It's really developed, and I've got new songs that they're putting in, obviously the new records that are coming out as well. So they're all being stripped back into like live moments and that as well. So that it's a real not just saying it, obviously I'll be biased, but it's a real spectacle, and it's a nice balance of James with the kind of full-on clubby kind of experience, and then Medusa having like a bit of some real euphoric, like hands in the air, like feel good, like Ibiza moments. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
absolutely.
it is really special. They're doing Magazine on the 27th of Feb as well in London.
Fantastic.
Which is the last date on their European tour, so they're in a good spot at the minute. So.
Amazing, man.
All is good, Benny boy. All is good.
Love it. So,
loving life.
Good work, man. So look, last question then. I asked
the third last question.
Well, no, they were last questions of segments. This is the last question.
You carry on,
and
mate.
It's the question I like to ask all of my guests.
Go on.
100 years' time, people look back and they hear the name Matt Smallwood. What do you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy you want to leave?
What do I want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
Would it be really sad to say just being a nice guy?
No, because actually a lot of people say that, believe it or not, which is actually really nice.
So I'm already halfway there.
I can tell you're already there. You are.
Thank you.
A fucking top bloke. I absolutely love you.
Love you too, mate.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. It's been good fun.
Mate, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A huge thanks to Matt Smallwood for coming on today. What an absolute star, and what a pleasure interviewing him it was. But even bigger thank you to everyone out there watching, especially if you got this far. Really appreciate the support. We'll be here next month with another amazing guest. In the meantime, I'm Ben Davenport, and this has been Beats Learning.